Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to racing coverage on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. It's Tuesday night, which means it's full send racing action as Xfinity cars got to have one of the best finishes and overall racing action you could see last week at Daytona. Every finish was either 5 thousandths of a second or closer through the duels to the stage break to the end of the race. Great action, and now it's time to test out the true driving skills as the drivers head to their second race of the season, and it is here at Chicagoland for that other GRESIM Studios 200, the first time the Full Send Racing Series has ever come to Chicagoland. So we're going to be seeing a lot of unknowns be answered as well. What is the true pace of the field when we come to these mile and a halves? We'll get all those storylines told here tonight. Where's the speed? Where is it coming from? And giving you the story on how we're going to be talking about this race. It's going to be myself, Sam Dyer, and with me up at the booth is going to be Trevor Earhart. Trevor, certainly last week in an incredible racing action. Closest finishes I think I've ever seen in sim racing we got to see. And now it's time to try a different test.
Oh yeah, last week at Daytona was amazing with all the finishes we got to see, the dual races, the stage, and then definitely with the photo finish, the tie for the win last week at Daytona. But excited to be here, Sam, at Chicagoland to see what the true pace is going to be like. I think we got to see a little bit of it when we were at the Clash race at IRP, but here at the mile and a half of Chicagoland, we could really get a full breakdown of what this field's going to look like for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and also taking away, we're not going to be having any more heat racing like we saw in the Clash and last week that intruded into the duel. So this is going to be another true test of where is drivers by themselves, true speed on how they're going to be qualifying out. Again, first time here at Chicagoland Speedway. So what are we expecting to see here, Trevor, for these drivers as they're starting to hit the track for qualifying?
You know, it's gonna be a lot like we were talking earlier, a lot like Kansas Homestead in terms of the mile and a half, how it drives. Qualifying, I think, based off of how I think might go, I think qualifying is gonna be really important for these guys out there tonight to see where they're gonna line up. But I think we're gonna be in for a good race overall. Chicagoland typically puts on pretty good racing.
Yeah, talking about those two racetracks and similarities of Homestead and Kansas, the driver that's ran the best at both of those courses has been Chris Stitz, really the driver in my eyes to watch out for. He's won at both those tracks. He's going to try to take the crown here at Chicago and get that win column. But other drivers to watch out for, Texas Speed, that whole entire team came out as a whole, and the driver that got the win was Tony Brent. 28 machine, hoping to go back-to-back to start the season off. Let's see what speed is in the books as drivers set up for lap number one.
Just starting his first lap here, and this little arc into the bottom there of 1 and 2, kind of running the middle line through 1 and 2. So he works his way out of 2. Got to be careful here down the back straightaway. It's got a little bit of a curve to it, so really easy to kind of throw yourself into the outside wall as you try to get into 3 and 4. There's a big bump down there in the middle of 3 and 4 that you got to be easy getting over, but does a really good job navigating that. Looks pretty solid for him here coming out of 4, Sam.
Out of 4, all the way up to the outside wall, maximizing every area of the track so you can keep the speed high and across the line. First lap in, and seeing Tony Brent up to second place on the board. The only driver beat out the 28 was the 8 machine of Brian McCann. Saw the 8 very quick during Daytona last week, and even faster at times during our IRP Clash. But Ross Tatum, second lap, going to be putting the 21 on top of the board.
And not surprised. He won at Kansas, kind of the sister track to Chicagoland when we were in the Xfinity car for season 3. But Will Bustler now at the top of the board.
Will Bustler, what speed has this one found for qualifying? Has been brilliant here tonight. We've seen these other series that we cover here on Freaking Fast Broadcasting, kind of shockers on drivers that have been able to find the pole award. And tonight, going to be seeing if maybe someone else that's been struggling can find that extra speed, as Cameron Sartin, winner of the Clash 2 weeks ago, 24, is about to get starting with their qualifying times.
You'll see how Cameron can do a little bit of a heartbreak. You heard it last week in his voice in the interview with that dead heat tie at Daytona. It was a little bit heartbroken, but we'll have to see if he can bounce back and maybe get a win here. Have won the Clash. I mean, had a second place finish at Daytona, Sam. I mean, off to a good start for him, but we'll see if qualifying here can match what he's already started the season with.
Yeah, last season and this season, the only wins the 24 has had is at the Clashes. When it is points racing, 24 has been struggling to get the victory lane, but the 2-time champ of season 1 and season 2, hoping and to find a little bit of extra speed and get back into victory lane. It's been a lot more at the short tracks where the 24 has been fast, but here tonight, hoping for some extra momentum. First lap, going to be placing the 24 in 24th position with 1 minute and 25 seconds left in qualifying. A handful of drivers still out on track trying to best Will Bustler, Ken Campbell, and Ross Tatum being your top 3 currently. And Cameron Sarn through 3 and 4, holding that bottom seam, keeping it neat and tidy. Exit of the corner, the 24, hoping that there was enough speed to be carried down on the apron across the line. Where will he place? 27th after being pushed down and only able to move up to 4th for the 24.
Yeah, not a bad lap. One of the few guys I saw that really kind of took the first lap as a warm-up lap to get the tires warm. Had a really good second lap. A little bit loose out of 3 and 4. I don't think he quite squared the bump up through 3 and 4 like he wanted to. And right there gets a good 4th place run. But here's the 22 of Rob Sherwood out for his attempt at qualifying.
Might get maybe 1 lap in as Rob Sherwood, who's moving so slow currently. It's going to be just a 1-lap run if he can get to the line quick enough. As he comes across the line, this is going to be very close. I don't think he's going to have enough time here, Trevor, to finish just 1 lap at the time that he hit the line.
I mean, if he finishes this lap on time, I mean, it's going to be the fastest lap that we've seen all night. Right now, Will Bustler with a 30.994, and I think Sherwood crossed the line with about 29 seconds left in qualifying, so he's going to have to lay down a burner here, Sam, if he wants to get this lap to count.
If Rob Sherwood gets this lap in, it's going to be for pole. Otherwise, he's not going to get a time in. He'll have to start a back half of the field. This 22 machine, 1 second across the line, checker flag's out, and it's going to be 100 feet away from the line, and time runs out. Sometimes you play the time games, and it can bite you, and it did for the 22. Well, to start all the way at the tail end of the line because majority of the field decided to qualify. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, once again for joining with us Tuesday night. Full Send Racing Series action. The drivers in the Xfinity car, Season 5, race number 2. And this is how they're going to be starting out tonight's race. Qualifying's done, and Will Bustler takes the pole award. Ken Campbell going to be taking that 2nd place position. Ross Tatum, a driver that's hoping to get to victory lane quickly in 3rd. 4th, it's going to be Cameron Sarn. Chris Stevens going to be in 5th. Good qualifying run for the 14. Cole Sketty going to be in 6th. Brian McCann in 7th. Tony Brett, last week's winner, beating out Cameron Sarn by over 100 tenths of a second. A crazy finish last week. We'll be starting in 8th. Trey Jackson, one of our fill-in drivers, will be starting in 9th. With David McConnell starting in 10th place for the 4. A great qualifying time for himself.
William Duff will roll off in 11th with Tyler Thomas in 12th. Ryan Lynch will roll off 13th with Christopher Wade in 14th. Andrew Medlin with an uncharacteristically, mediocre qualifying run will roll off in 15th with Travis Dart in 16th. Chris Stitz, one of the favorites to look out for here tonight, is going to roll off 17th with John Dart in 18th. Jonathan Burt will roll off 19th, and Jacob Grant will be in 20th.
21st position, going to be Harrison Gerwitz in the 91 machine with Philip Chavez in 22nd position in the 101. Christopher Melton going to be in 23rd position. Jay Becker in 24th. Doug Pierce going to be in 25th. Good qualifying run for the 39. Surprisingly deep in the field is where the 32 is. Zach Hall is going to be qualifying, and it's Brian L. Wilson in 27th. 28th is Curtis Walechka in the 44. 29th is going to be Joshua Altis and Alex Jones in that 30th position.
Stephen Bustler will roll off in 31st with Jonathan Woods in 32nd. John Matthews filling in for Nick Holland is going to roll off in 33rd with Pete Dillon in 34th. Cedric Hunter 35th, Braden Colley 36th, and Rob Sherwood is going to start shotgun on the field in 37th position.
Man, 100 feet away from finishing a lap time that could have, I mean, at the pace we were seeing the 22 go there, Trevor, I think he could have been placed inside of the top 10. Instead, has to start in 37th position. Going to be tough for the 22. But tonight's race at Chicagoland, like we said at the top of the broadcast, first time this league has ever been at Chicagoland in either the Xfinity car or trucks. Crazy to think it's taken 5 seasons to get to this incredible course. We're going to be seeing multi-groove racing all night long for 133 laps. Stage break going to be at the end of lap 40. No fast repairs or set the tires in pit road. The field is ready to get rolling.
It's going to be interesting what's going to happen in the first 40 laps. I think tire wear could be very important here tonight. We saw Ross Tatum when we were in the Xfinity car back at Kansas in Season 3 was really able to save those tires, use that inside line to his advantage throughout the course of the night. What's going to happen here tonight? Will the outside line be relevant all night long, or will the inside line prevail throughout the course of the evening? We'll have to wait and find out.
Driver's ready. It's race number 2. Who's going to be able to find the speed in this Xfinity car at the 1.5 miles? First one of the season. We got plenty later on, but tonight it is going to be the GRESIM Studios 200 at Chicagoland. Pace car's about to pull off, and it's time for 133 laps of racing action into the restart zone, and we are green. 40 laps for our first stage. Who will get those maximum stage points as Will Bustler, Ken Campbell roar down into turn number 1.
A pretty equal start there from the top 3 rows there. They're still going to be side by side, Bustler with a little bit of an edge, but I think Ken Campbell is going to have a really good run here out of turn number 2 on the high side, along with the 24 of Cameron Sarton, as that outside line has that momentum down the back straightaway as Campbell clears the one going into turn number 3.
And Campbell wants to get that lead, wants to lead that first lap, get the bonus point that could be crucial for later on in the playoffs if we don't get a win. Will Bustler might have gotten the pole. Positioning wasn't there. Number 15 leads lap number 1 as drivers already trying to get in line as quickly as possible. Single file for majority of the field. A little bit of side-by-side action up front, some deeper in the field. It's Ross Tatum trying to find an opening, as well as Chris Stevens not able to move up to the high line into 21 as everyone else has fallen in line.
Yeah, everybody falling in line, but it's going to be Cole Sacchetti holding that 21 and Ross Tatum down to the bottom through 3 and 4. Sacchetti trying to use that outside line to his advantage, get a little bit of a run here on the 21. It's going to bring the 14 of Stevens with him here as Sacchetti using a little bit of a pinch there through the tri-oval, gets by the 21, and here comes the 14 of Stevens going to try to make this pass happen through 1 and 2.
And drivers on the front stretch, probably one of the more dangerous spots of this track to watch out for, especially on those that might move down the apron and those that don't, as the front half of the field looking confident. Back half of the field, though, a lot of shuffling going on. Brian L. Wilson falling back quickly after a little bit of a shimmy through 1 and 2, losing ground, but Doug Pierce as well, one of the drivers has been losing quite a bit of positioning. Back half of the field, still all lanes being used back here on trying to move forward.
Yeah, everybody just trying to find a way around one another. You see right there in front of Doug Pierce, the 7 of Cedric Hunter all the way to the inside line. He's trying to make some ground up, but it's going to be Pierce battling with the 93 side by side. You see right there Christopher Wade in shot, and moving up a little bit further. You got the 4 of the 53, the 17 of Chris Stitz. All these guys just battling with one another, trying to work their way through the field as quickly as they can while everybody's still bunched up.
Middle of the pack, a lot of movement going on. A driver that hasn't gone forward or backwards. 53 of Christopher Wade is the 4 of Dave McConnell. Great qualifying time, but he was in pretty close 5 position. But we hop on board. Last season's champion, Zach Hall. He's in the Hornet's nest right here in that 20th position.
He didn't have a great qualifying run for himself. He's moved up fairly well here off the start, though, of this race, trying to gain some more positions to the inside here of the 26 of Travis Stark. You can see everybody moving around just a little bit, almost a little bit of contact there. You see the 10 of Jay Becker moving around in front of them. Tyler Thomas as Zach's going to get a good run here to the inside of the 10 of Jay Becker. They're going to be side by side here off of turn number 4.
Trying to make moves. Where do you go? Jay Becker has been told to falling in position of where he's going to be placed this 10. Trying to find a good spot on the outside to find some good speed. Zach Hall looking like the middle lane is where a lot of this momentum has been strong, where we saw drivers going for the pole award during qualifying. It was that middle lane. The driver, it looks like that's the comfort zone for some of these drivers.
Yeah, it looks to be that way. A really good drive off for Zach Hall through that middle lane in 1 and 2, using it again here through 3 and 4. Got around the 4 of David McConnell, who looks like he might be starting a little bit here early on. Almost contact between him and the 10 of Jay Becker. But Zach just continues to pick him off one at a time, and now he goes to battle with the 11 of Tyler Thomas through turn number 1. Not going to have that middle line. He's going to go up an extra line here to the 3rd line, but have a really good run here down the back straightaway.
Very good run for himself. Other drivers up front, we have 12 of Andrew Medlin trying to stay inside of the top 10, currently up 6 positions. You're seeing a major difference in these first 7 laps of drivers that have been willing to get aggressive and those that aren't. In reports of driver with the black flag, that's the 10 of Jay Becker, forced to come into pit road for himself, but Andrew Medlin trying to stay up front. Good run for the 12. Currently, he's got some drivers that look to be a little bit more patient, waiting for the later run to maximize their speed as we hop on board the Andrew Medlin cam.
Yeah, new angle here for the Medlin cam, kind of a face forward here cam, top down view for him. And as always, super focused, really smooth wheel work. A little bit of a correction there out of 4, but you can just see nice smooth inputs for himself up 6 spots from where he started, trying to run down the 55 of Trey Jackson, who again filling in this week for that of Sam Siegel. Sam having a really good run in that 55 machine here to start the race.
Yeah, it's been great to see some of these fill-in drivers running well. And I love that camera for Andrew Medlin, especially the fact that because it's straightforward, you can see those hands and they're working a lot more clear as he's seeing a great battle in front of him. Trey Jackson trying to figure out where Ross Tatum, Ryan McCann are going to place themselves as Ross Tatum, always known for the 21 to back off in the early portions of a race, figure out how to save these tires, and kind of moments over exude on saving tires. And the 21 has lost 4 positions, but we got to watch out for once we're 20 laps into this run.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to see Ross kind of fall back here. I think exactly that. Here in another 10 laps, we'll see him start to move forward, especially at the pace that Cole Sacchetti, Chris Stevens kind of worked their way to the front. I think they might have burned their stuff up just a little bit. Even that Cameron Sarton kind of backed off his pace here a little bit to start this run off. But Ross Tatum, I mean, you get these long green flag runs, he's always got to be one of those drivers that you have to watch out for.
And we've got to watch out as well for the lead. Cole Sacchetti getting aggressive for the lead position. Moved up 4 positions from the immediate start. Qualified 6th. Almost had the dive bomb move entering turn 1, but got extremely loose on the entry and has lost a lot of momentum. And this 42's got to be careful. Went from the offense, now in defensive as Will Bustler setting up to take 2nd place back.
Yeah, just lost a little bit of momentum there and able to hold off with that of Will Bustler. But I think that 42 being a little bit aggressive here, maybe seeing how aggressive you can be when you get to that stage break, what the tire wear is going to look like. If you be a little bit aggressive, closes in again to the rear bumper of the 15 King Campbell, using that middle line, but just loses a little bit of time on corner exit, but applying pressure to the back bumper of that 15 machine. One little slip up from Campbell could see that 42 and possibly the 1 get by him.
Again, with these drivers right on top of one another, this has been great action. That's the biggest surprise for me here, Trevor. We're not seeing a lot of drivers pulling away. This front group of 8 drivers still attached in the draft. There's a little bit of a pocket between 9th back to 10th place. It's just a half a second. But man, I'm surprised on how close everyone's been as Will Bustler pokes the nose and the 1. How did we get the launch that he needed out of the corner?
Able to get the run off behind him. McCann, he has the run with 14 to Chris Stevens. He's going to look to the outside. Same, I'm right there with you. Not a lot of separation between everybody in the top 10. Everybody's still kind of on top of one another. And I'm surprised 13 laps in that we haven't seen kind of a fall off, but we might see it as this run progresses. But right now, everybody within about a second and a half of each other inside our top 10.
Drivers always talk about the Xfinity car, a lot more of a driver's car, a lot more power. Rear end likes to kick out at times. You get on the throttle a little bit too early. As drivers got to be careful of their tire wear as the runs go on. And usually when we hear about tire wear, it's a good 10 to 15 lap switch. If you're fast in the first 15 laps, usually there's a big pendulum swing of the drivers who are saving their tires are faster in the next 15. So let's see those drivers that maybe fell back, what speed can they find as we're seeing the battling going on side by side for that 5th place. It's Chris Stevens and Cameron Sarton side by side.
Yes, Stevens kind of drifted up a little bit 3 and 4 and kind of allowed that Cameron Sarton to get a crossover move on him, but you can just see the drive off that top side. Just a little bit more momentum for Stevens out of 1 and 2, allowed him to kind of clear the 24, but Sarton again going to battle back on the inside, but just can't keep the momentum up on that inside line. Stevens is going to be able to hold him off.
Holding off, and 24's got to be careful. Ross Tatum could be finally on the charge to go forward on the outside. As a great power move by the 21. You could just see the extra speed and ripping the top is the 21. And the massive momentum, but the drivers also got to be careful. Talk about the front stretch in the worries of the apron of drivers maybe thinking another one's going to go down. You can make contact there, but the back stretch as well, a dangerous spot to watch out for.
Yeah, it really is. A little bit of movement there. The way the track kind of curves back there can kind of throw some drivers off from time to time, so they got to be careful with that. And like you said, the front stretch, using the apron to your advantage, could be also to your detriment, depending on if some drivers around you are paying attention or not. Ross Tatum continuing to try to march his way forward, but it's Will Bustler right now trying to find a way around the 42 of Cole Sacchetti. We're on board with the 1, looking in front of him to the 42 of Cole Sacchetti heading into turn number 3.
Trying to figure out where the openings are, and again, talk about how this field seems so close. No one's truly able to just pull away. Well, the grouping that once was our just top 8, top 9 that were very close to one another, we'll turn that into our top 13, all within 2.5 seconds. And drivers that are on the move, Zach Hall, last season's champion, up 15 positions, has now just moved up to 11, trying to get by Chris Stitz, who is one of my favorite drivers to watch out for here tonight in the 17. Stitz kind of just finding a recovery run. It has been a tough couple of races for the 17 in multiple different leagues, as he's going to be on the outside, seeing Zach Hall going for this opportunity. But also watch out for the driver in 15th position, Cedric Hunter, up 20 spots, our biggest mover of the race, back in 15th position, trying to catch up for a lead back.
Yeah, Cedric Hunter just quietly working his way through the field. I mean, you think biggest movers, think maybe Zach Hall, who had a bad qualifying round, up 15 spots, but I mean, Cedric Hunter started that all the way toward the back of the field up to 15th. I mean, he started 35th here tonight, and in 20 laps, Sam all the way up inside the top 15 and trying to track down last week's winner and Tony Brent right in front of him.
And for the 7 machine, he is in a question mark position because he has informed us down the fact that he is planning on doing most of these races in the first part of the season, being a start and park driver because he's running another league. So we do not know if he's going to be able to finish out this stage, let alone the full race. I think for the seven machine, it could be a thought of, I just want to get any position I can and then maybe pull it into pit road by hoping to get some type of stage points for himself. As we fall back deeper into the field, look at some of the drivers that are in the middle of the pack, finding ourselves with the 6. Jonathan Burt trying to hold off Philip Chavez, Alex Jones, and Jason Gratton. Jacob Grant, who's trying to make their move forward. As I say that about Cedric Hunter, pulls it into pit road, start and park for the 7 is done.
Yeah, the night's over for Cedric Hunter, but hey, what better way to kind of see where you stack up against the guys in the league? Come out here, run 20 laps, worked his way through the field. So Cedric Hunter might be one of those guys that you have to watch out for later on in the season when he gets to running full time.
Can't wait to see how he's going to be performing. 93, Christopher Melton. We haven't really talked about this driver last week at Daytona, back in 28th position, running with Doug Pierce, Jonathan Woods, and also in front of them, the 9, a massive slide and checkup for this group. They're going to be going 3 wide as Brian L. Wilson, major scare for the driver in the middle, and contact as well with the inside groove as Jonathan Woods tries to make the pass and not able to confirm on it. It's aggressive driving in the back, where honestly, these drivers are always fun to see what the back half of the field's doing, because their aggression, recognizing, hey, we're not running for a win, we're racing the drivers around us.
Yeah, it's always fun to see, but right there, Christopher Melton, a really easy 2-for-1 for himself as Wilson got loose, checked up the 2 of Jonathan Woods, and able to get those 2 spots. But right now, Sherwood, not too much further ahead of these guys, up in the 25th position. He's going to battle with Joshua Altus, and then the 4 of David McConnell, who's really kind of fallen through the field here, Sam. He's lost 13 spots from where that 4 machine started, really struggling early on in this run.
Yeah, but seeing the teammates rolling with one another, got to be loving seeing Altus and Sherwood trying to make the movement forward, and Sherwood just missing out on getting a qualifying time registered and during qualifying. Start from last place, trying to move forward with Altus, but David McConnell, I mean, you got to give credit to the 4. I don't think he was expecting really a strong run here once the race started, but you got to take credit for the fabulous qualifying time of the top 10 in 10th position for the 4. I think he'll take that as a positive day. Now the goal, just survive the night.
Yeah, survive the night, see what you can do, see what you can learn. The nice thing about having that stage break at lap 40 gives you a chance, an opportunity to see where you might have been a little bit too over aggressive, maybe take something away from that, where you can back up, save some tires, and be there at the end of a longer run. So a chance for these guys to really learn something when we hit that stage break at lap 40.
Trying to learn, always trying to develop, and seeing some of these drivers on the move. Jacob Grant, 19 machine, he was coming into this season expecting a lot from the 19 machine, just personally from himself. He thought this was going to be a season where you're going to come into a league and be an automatic contender for a championship, and he's showing here tonight this competition is going to be a tough one. Qualified back in 20th, he's lost 1 position so far. Again, we are now in that transitional phase. You really burnt off those tires. You've got to be concerned, and if you've been patient, this is going to be your only time to really start moving, because that stage break is happening in 15 laps. You've got to get rolling now if you want to be in the top 10 and get bonus points.
Yeah, now's going to be that time where we see who saved, who didn't save. Right here on board with the 77 of William Duff, kind of in a no man's lane, about half a second in front of him. Driver's half a second in front, half a second behind as he's in front of John Dart, Travis Dart, who are doing battle behind him, trying to close in on the 28 of Tony Brent. But Duff just kind of in his own little groove right now, running out of turn 4.
I mean, for William Duff, this is going to be a positive feeling, though, if you're the 77 in that no man's land position, because you can at least say, hey, I know I'm in the top 15 at least. I just got to find that little bit of extra speed to be attached to that front group. Again, that stage break is going to help a lot of these drivers on that learning phase on what's going to help them. The 11 of Tyler Thomas getting to see some great action in his mirrors behind him. Going to be Burt and Grant racing with one another. as they are behind the 6 running high, the 19 trying to make his way forward. The drivers starting to see the patience rolling up, but up front, it's the 24 of Cameron Sarn. It's only his lowest 2 positions, and right now, he need to triple some spot. He could lose another couple of positions as Chris Stevens, Trey Jackson are hunting down this 24.
Yeah, Sarton able to get around the 14 of Stevens finally, but hasn't been able to get around the 8 of McCann. We saw Ross Tatum get around the 24 last time we were up here at the front. Was able to get around the 8, and you can see, I think, looks like Sarton's got a little bit better tires here later in this run, a little bit quicker than the 8. Just hasn't been able to find a way around him as he closes right to the rear bumper of McCann going into turn number 1.
On the back bumper, and the laps continue to tick away. 20 laps in, 29 laps into this run. Stage break again at the end of lap 40. Top 10 drivers get bonus points. Cameron Sarn got the run at 2. Now going to be side by side as they enter turn number 3. Patience is here for the 24. A little bit of a pinch, but the 24 machine has to really hold that white line. Looked like he wanted to run about a half through high. That outside seam was hurting the 24 just slightly.
Yeah, I think he kind of wanted to run the middle there, but just didn't feel like maybe driving up into the side of the 8 of McCann. So we're going to try to take it here to the bottom again, a little bit off the bottom line. See if he can get a little bit better traction, maybe a better run out. But no, it's going to be the top line that again prevails with the better momentum. But Sarton's going to be able to jump up and cover off the 14 of Stevens from getting a run on him. He's going to have to reset, regroup, and try this again.
Reset, regroup. 14 drives the outside line, not able to get the run that he wants as we come across the line. Ken Campbell still leading the way. He has led every lap so far here tonight, but he's been fought. Will Bustler has tried to take that lead position as well as Cole Sketty. Not able to do so, but with Cedric Connor doing a start and park, the title of biggest mover is now on our last season champion, Zach Hall. Has caught up to Trey Jackson in this lead group, and that 32 looking like the grip is there. Aggressive moves as he goes to the inside of the 55.
Yeah, you would think with how much Zach's moved up, maybe he started to be a little burnt up with how quickly he has worked through his way through the field. But at 32 showing he's still got a lot of paces against by Trey Jackson up in front of him. That'll continue to Chris Stevens, Cameron Sarton as they swap positions now. Sarton's going to go back at the 14, try to get back by him, but this is just going to allow the 32 of Zach Hall to close in on those two as they're going to be side by side at turn number 2. Almost contact made down the back straightaway as they wiggle and work their way down the back, but that battle up in front of them is really starting to heat up.
Almost contact. Have to give credit to the awareness level of the 24 of realizing I was not fully clear and pulled that 24 away from the 14, but setting up a little bit of lost momentum. And Zach Hall will try to gain another spot, if possible, maybe even 2. And looking at the drivers right now, this is probably the scariest part of the field. The 14 and the 24, Chris Stevens, Cameron Sarn, they have been so close these last couple of laps, looking like they were going to be causing another accident and bring out our first yellow of the night, but they survive for now as Zach Hall sees the first opportunity for this pass.
Yeah, that checked up the 14 just a little bit. It's going to allow Zach Hall all the way to the bottom. Stevens going all the way to the wall in the 14. Cameron Sarton going to run the middle. You can kind of see the multi-groove options you have here at Chicagoland, and Zach's going to have a really good run, stay side by side with the 14 of Stevens. But it's going to be down here to 1 and 2. I'm going to be curious if Zach has the grip to keep that momentum up in the 32 to get clear of the 14, or if Stevens is going to be able to hold that momentum off the top side and get back by the 32. Almost contact off the corner, and it's going to be Stevens with the momentum off the 2 that's going to be able to hold on side by side here with Zach Hall heading into 3.
And seeing where this pace is at, Trey Jackson now in the tricky spot for the 55 because he's trying to figure out what lane he needs to place himself. He's right on board 32, Zach Hall, and you get to see the inside of these Xfinity cars. Trying to make the pass almost fully clear. Looks clear to his right, but not just yet. The rear quarter panel still having a little bit of the 14, but finally clears quickly. Now it's on to the next driver for this 32, up to 7th now, and now officially up 19 positions from where he qualified.
And Chris Stevens is not going to go away quietly. He's going to actually look to the inside here of Zach Hall. Zach lost a little bit of momentum on the exit of turn number 2, and Stevens is going to dive it in there. They're going to be side by side, but a bit of a wiggle for the 14 of Stevens in his comeback attempt at battling the 32 might have gone away just there. Is Zach's going to be able to clear him here halfway down the front straightaway, heading back into turn number 1.
5 more laps left in the stage. Top 10 drivers get the bonus points, and right now the driver that's at the cutoff line is the 12 of Andrew Medlin. But for how long? Andrew Medlin currently might be under fire from the 3 of Ryan Lynch. And up front, as you can see on screen, that was Ken Campbell and Cole Sacchetti battling with one another. Certainly, everywhere, it's not safe currently that you're going to have these positions solidified. And as well for our leaders, they got to be careful. They're coming up on some lap traffic. That's Jay Becker, who's hoping to stay on the lead lap before the stage is done.
Yeah, Becker with that penalty, trying to stay on the lead lap here. And Sam, I mean, we're 37 laps into this, and our top 12, all within, or top 13, all within about 3 seconds of one another. I mean, this pack's still just tightly, packed tightly on top of one another. Is Medlin trying to hold off Lynch, run down the 55 of Trey Jackson, and hold on to this 10th place spot in the stage to get that one stage bonus point.
Yeah, and you might be thinking, well, 3 seconds seems like still a lot of time between first back to 14th. And the reason why we say they're still packed eight is because every driver is within 2 to 3 tenths or even closer to the driver in front of them. And it's going to be all the way back from 14th to 15th with a major gap of 2 seconds lies. It's Ken Campbell, Cole Sacchetti. I'm still baffled at some of these runs these drivers are having. And Ryan Lynch about to be aiming to steal a stage point here from Andrew Medlin. Yeah,
Lynch, I mean, one of the guys that we don't really talk about a lot week in, week out, usually toward the back half of the 20s, top 15 in the 20 position, but having a really good run for himself here in 11th.
Oh, no!
Loose on the transition, the commentator curse. Lynch hangs on to it, gonna lose a couple positions here for himself, but what a save for the 3 of Ryan Lynch.
Ryan, we are so sorry. We don't mean for the commentator's curse to affect you. We were really hoping to see you get that stage bonus point. Instead, you'll have to salvage for 14th position on where he lies currently. As drivers in the middle of our top 10 start to get side-by-side battling, it's Brian McCann, Cameron Sartin starting to get a little bit mixy with 2 laps to take it back. We are on the final lap of the stage for these drivers. Ken Campbell hoping to lead every lap, but he's also trying to get by the lap car of Jay Becker, who's running that preferred line where the 15's been running.
Yeah, it gets clear of him, though. They're out of turn number 2. Becker doing a good job just keeping it to the outside. He's going to be, I believe, the only car a lap down, so he should get the lucky dog position for himself. But unfortunately, he's going to go a lap down right before the stage ends. But Campbell's going to be able to hold on here, get the stage win, and lead the first 40 laps of this race, and did a really good job holding off 42 and the 1 of Sacchetti and Bustler.
Top 10 drivers all come across the line, and the yellow flag will wave. Congratulations to Ken Campbell for becoming our stage winner. Cole Sacchetti is going to be coming in 2nd place. Will Bustler is going to come in 3rd. 4th will be Ross Tatum with Brian McCann, Cameron Sartin, Zach Hall. Going to finish out your top 7 with Chris Stevens, Trey Jackson, and Andrew Medlin in your top 10. We are going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be getting you prepared for more racing here tonight. Congratulations again to Ken Campbell on getting the stage win. You are watching the Full Send Racing Series in the Xfinity Car for Season 5 for the GRESIM Studios 200 at Chicagoland. It's been a good one, and we will see you for the rest of the race. No more stage racing after this. Who will get the win at Chicagoland? wide behind for fifth.
Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with a shot here, coming off a 4. That's it.
It's
Bottom line, here it comes.
Oh,
No,
that's
Carter
a
gets
good
wrecked. It's going to be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Diving down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes. Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck
Oh,
him.
they wrecked! They wrecked each other! The top two bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they gotta be careful. Oh no! The 4 demolishes in the 28.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Full Send Racing League. Yes, that's a different voice you're hearing. Instead of Sam Dyer, had to step away right now. So this is Robert A. Moyer in the booth, going to be calling the action here with Trevor for a little bit. But all right, man, Trevor, well, they knocked down 40 laps here, had their stage break here, got their points they needed. No more stages here for the rest of the race. So what's the game plan now for these back runners?
I think the game plan for the guys, especially at the back, they're going to have to save a little bit of tires or maybe be aggressive. We're going to have one pit stop before the end of the race. So maybe you go for the aggressive strategy, pit a little bit early, try for the undercut, and see if that can get you a couple of positions. But I think the guys up front, it's going to be about saving tires, who can save the most, the best. I think that's going to be key for these guys up front.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, Chicago is an awesome track. It's got multi-grooves like these guys were talking about earlier. So about saving, the key here tonight is just saving the tires, you know. And if you can save the tires, you've seen what Zach Hall did. He moved up, you know, a lot of positions there from starting in the middle of the pack and moved himself up, you know, to 5th position. So, you know, you burn these tires off too fast, you can fall through the field very, very fast. But we're going to get ready to go back green flag racing here on lap 45 of 133 here, ladies and gentlemen. So let's buckle the seatbelts tight and let's watch some action-packed racing here with Full Send Racing at Chicago Speedway as we're getting ready for that green flag to come out. And green flag is out, Trevor.
It's going to be Ken Campbell with a great jump into 15 over the 42 of Cole Sacchetti, as those two are going to pick up right where they left off at the stage, battling with one another. But Cameron Sarton's going to be side-by-side with Will Bustler. That's going to be the battle for third with Zach Hall right behind them. That 32 machine is going to try to continue his march forward as that run, as Will Bustler is going to be trapped on the bottom. But up front, it's going to be wasted no time from the 42 of Cole Sacchetti. He's going to dive it to the inside of Ken Campbell into 3 and 4, and that's where that battle is going to be, coming out of turn number 4 for the lead.
It's going to battle, still battle. We got Ken Campbell on the high side where the preferred line is right now, but we see Cole Sacchetti down there at number 42. He learned something at the beginning of this race. He rode behind Ken the whole time, and he said, you know what, if I got to pass him, I got to do it like now with fresh tires, because if not, you know, 10, 15 laps into this run, you get stuck behind somebody. It goes to show that you're not moving and you're most likely going to be sticking where he is. So right now, these guys are going side by side right now as Cole in that 42 right now is going to look a little bit clear there, but no, not enough, Trevor.
Yeah, not enough, not quite clear yet. And the battle behind them is starting to heat up with Zach Hall and Cameron Sarton. I mean, why not be aggressive now? Everybody's bunched up on top of one another. Gain as many spots as you can and then go into tire saving mode. But it's that battle for the lead. Still going to be side by side added 2. Battle for third heating up. Here goes Zach Hall diving to the inside of the 24 of Cameron Sarton, as our top 4 are going to be side by side heading into 3. But Sarton's going to let the 32 have it. See if he can go chase down our 2 leaders. They continue to battle for the second lap out of turn number 4.
Yeah, and this is not good with them 2 up there in the front there, Trevor. You know, battling side by side is just going to pull the rest of the pack, and you can see Zach Hall gaining a lot of ground with these 2 up here battling side by side, as now it looks like Ken Campbell is finally going to work his way and get past him, but now Cole Sacchetti is going to try to block off Zach Hall. Zach Hall's going to go on the high side down into turn 3, but I think it's now time either you make that pass or you fall in line and save tires, Trevor, because, you know, the more that you run side by side, the more this hurts the tires, and the more the tires get, you know, heated up and start losing rubber. So the last thing you want to do is be stuck by, you know, somebody side by side for 10 laps.
Yeah, think for Sacchetti, he's going to want to get behind the 32 here of Zach Hall and just kind of save some tire, but that's going to put two teammates, the freaky fast teammates, bumper to bumper with one another, and that could be a hard combination to pass later in this race. But Sacchetti going to give it up to the 32 of Zach Hall, and Zach might think about having a shot here at his teammate of Ken Campbell, as he's got a ton of momentum through the center of 3 and 4. Going to look to the inside of the 15 of Campbell, but just not quite be able to get there. But that 32 machine continues his march forward, and behind them, Ross Tatum able to get around the 24 of Cameron Sarton, so the 21 up another spot. Sarton kind of maybe has gone into the tire conservation mode here a little bit earlier compared to some of the guys up in front of him.
Oh, well, we thought so, but now he just went right into the wall, Cameron Sarton, and yeah, that was Cameron Sarton at this cream turn number 4 wall, or number 2 wall.
It was Cole Sacchetti in the 42.
Yeah.
That was Cole that got up into the outside wall at a 2, lost a lot of time there, lost a spot to the 21 of Ross Tatum, the 24 of Cameron Sarton. Now we're going to lose a spot to Will Bustler. Here comes Trey Jackson in the 55, Chris Stitz in the 17. I mean, just goes to show you right there, Robert, a little bit of a mistake from the 42. Not sure if he has any damage from that, but the loss of momentum nonetheless from the 42 sends him from 3rd all the way here back to what's going to be 7th position.
Yeah, it looks like he's got, if we can try to find a great camera here, you can see him riding right behind right now. We got the number 17 here running behind him, but now we got a good camera. But if you can see right there on the right rear quarter panel there in the back, he does have damage that he slapped the outside wall here in turn number 2 and saved the car, but that's definitely going to hurt him.
Yeah, I think the right rear, I think he's got a little bit of damage on the right front. That's going to be pretty detrimental for Cole. I mean, these cars really known for being temperamental with the damage model that they have. A little bit of right front damage could really, especially at 1.5 miles, could really hurt you for the rest of the race. So we'll have to see what's going to happen here. But with all of that, that's kind of stacked up everybody behind him. So Chris Stitz is going to be in a fight here with the 14 of Chris Stevens. They're going to be side by side. That's going to be for 8th and 9th position. Behind them, Brian McCann, Andrew Medlin, Christopher Wade, all trying to close in and see if they can get by what possibly would be a wounded 42 machine. You can see Medlin right there getting by the 53 of Christopher Wade, closing in on the 8 of McCann. But Wade might have a little bit of a run here, but he's going to tuck in line behind the 12 and just see what he can do. Yeah,
that's what it looks like they're going to do here right now. But that 14 right now of Stevens, he don't look like he's a restful worry, man. He's trying to pounce when he can, as he's going to look at the number 17 side. Well, I thought he was going to go side by side, but he backed off there, and I think that was a smart move. But you can see the entrance on that number 14. He's backing up the turn because you see everybody in the back pulling up onto him, but he gets slingshot out of the turn. As now we're going to have Brian now trying to look on the inside of the 14.
Yeah, Brian coming back here at the bottom of the 14 of Chris Stevens. And Stevens, I mean, he was aggressive there in the first half of the stage, kind of fell off a little bit. So maybe trying to save it here a little bit, looked pretty aggressive, trying to get to Chris Stitz's rear bumper there, but still running an outside line. That's going to allow the 8 of McCain to get to his inside. And a couple of other drivers maybe having a chance to get by here, an opportunity. Here comes a Medlin, the 53 of Wade. They're all stacking up to the inside of this 14 machine to see if they can get by him, but he's going to have that momentum off the corner that's going to allow him to keep doing battle with these guys as this run continues.
As the run continues, but we do got Sam Dyer now back after his little break that he need to go do, and welcome back, Sam.
Thank you for covering for me, Robert. The emergency is now out of the way, and it's time for the racing action to be lifted up. Thank you for both of you guys for covering for me there. There's the 14, Chris Stevens, trying to find an opening, but a little bit of a checkup from that of Brian McCann. Didn't get the opening he wanted to get by that of Cole Sacchetti. And Trevor, again, that 42's damage, got to keep on watching out to see if in the long run this damage is going to be hurting him or not.
Yeah, I was looking at it there as we were covering it. Robert was gracious enough to get us a pretty good camera shot there of the right rear. That's not the worrisome spot, but it's the right front. I saw a little bit of a crinkle over the right front fender and on the hood of that 42 machine. That's really going to hurt him in the corners, really tighten that car up. And I think we've already seen it here. He's really been struggling. Got passed by the 17 of Chris Stitz. Here comes the 8 of McCann, and it was really checking up McCann, Stevens, Medlin, and Christopher Wade as they've been trying to find a way around this 42, and it looks like McCann finally might be able to get this pass done.
Yeah, Gets the inside, gets the opening, and will take that move for the 8 machine. As great moves all around, Chris Ditz up 10 positions. Got to give big kudos to the 17. But we look back at this battling deeper in the field. 5 of John Dart trying to figure out how to get by the 6 of Jonathan Burt, and Burt just holding his outside groove, holding back and not letting any opportunities falter here. And John Dart really had a strong performance at the Clash as well as last week in this 5, hoping to find some better runs, top 15 finishes, try to set up to make that push for the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm be interested to see how John does this season coming back to the Xfinity car. Showed a lot of progress last season in the trucks with his runs and performances. So really good to see him having a good run so far here to start off. What many would consider the start of the official season. We all know Daytona, all the drivers consider Daytona a wild card race. So this is for some the official start to see where they really stack up. And John doing a really good job. He's going to have a good run here on Christopher Wade in the 15, in the 53, move himself up to the 15th position and see if he can find a way around that 6 of Jonathan Burt right in front of him and catch up to the 3 of Ryan Lynch.
Trying to get by, and also other drivers that are making some pretty decent move forward. We were touching on the big movements of Zach Hall and as well Cedric Hunter in those first 25 laps. Zach Hall currently the biggest mover, but another driver who is sneakily moving up throughout the field, currently the second biggest mover so far. It's the 45 in 16th position, Alex Jones. What a performance for the 45 machine. Qualified back in 30th position, up to 16th, and it has been a slow, methodical push forward. It's been a good one so far.
Yeah, it's been a great little just drive forward for himself. Got to the stage, got those 4 fresh tires, and now continuing his march through the field up to 16, trying to find a way around Burt and John Dart as those two battle right there in front of him. Has a good run here to the inside of the 6. Got to be careful, though, the 19 of Jacob Grant also closing in on these guys. Almost thought about making it 3 wide, but 45 here of Alex Jones with a pretty good run here to the inside of the 6. Might be able to clear him here, maybe at turn number 2.
Hoping to get the clearance down to the inside on that inside seam. The 45 fully clears, moves up, trying to block and defend. Burt might have a run to go to the inside, does not carry the momentum. A little bit of a block to the middle groove. And the 19, thinking about the opportunity all the way to the outside wall, is Grant. What a little bit of cat and mouse gameplay there by 3 drivers trying to pick and choose how to set up an entry of the corner. It's going to be Burt that gets hurt the most from it.
Yeah, this is the part of that's the best part about Chicagoland, the different lines that you can take and the way you can set up another driver to maybe put them in a position that they don't want to be in. And Grant can use that outside line to his advantage. Clear the 6. Here comes the 53, avoid the 94 of Altus as well, because this is going to put the 6 of Burt on the inside line, not where you want to be, and he's going to back out of it and try to fall in line behind that 94 as there's a little bit of a gap in front of his teammate and last week's winner of Tony Brent.
Tony Brent, 20th position, currently he's lost 12 spots. One of the drivers that's really lost a lot of positions. A lot of Texas speed drivers not feeling too comfortable here tonight, falling back to the back half of the field. But Tony Brent at least has the win from last week, locked into the playoffs. 28 now just has to find momentum as we're riding on board with his teammate of Burt. Watch out on the outside. These drivers making their move forward and running on board with Joshua Altus, another big mover, up 11 positions in the 94. Going to be up in the booth with me tomorrow night is Joshua Altus. So trying to get some information on different track styles before he gets in the booth for some Gen 4 action tomorrow night for the WSSR Corrosa Gems Cup Series.
Yeah, it's good, just nice to get out there, get in the car. Doesn't matter if it's the same car that you're going to cover. Just get it out there on track in a car. It gives you kind of a feel for what to maybe expect when you get into the booth. It gives you a little bit of information out there. It's always nice to be in the car before you get in the booth. I jumped out of practice to come up here, so it's always nice to have that little bit of in-car feeling when you come up into the booth, get you nice and prepared for the race.
It certainly does help. A driver that's up 10 positions and joining the club of multiple drivers up 10 or more spots at the 2 machine of Jonathan Woods, up 10 spots, qualified 32nd position, and now up to 22nd position, trying to stay connected. Other drivers that have been on the move forward has been Steven Bussler, who's up 8 spots, started in 31st position. It's been, I think that's always an interesting thing when you watch races, because we've been doing this for a while, watching the scenario of drivers moving up through the field. When you see a pairing that qualified very similar with one another and both move up through the field, Very similarly, is Zach Hall in his own zip code. A very different story from those first 40 laps to now. One of the first drivers to take the lead and just pull away from the field.
Yeah, I mean, he got around his teammate of Ken Campbell. I don't even think Ken put up much of a fight for Zach, and Zach is just driven off from the field almost to a 2-second lead over everybody else. And Campbell kind of had to do a little bit of a battle with that of Ross Tatum, who's caught up to the 15 machine camera starting there in fourth, starting to close back in on those two. And it'll be interesting to see if Tatum can get around that of Campbell. And if he has any tires left, if he can run down Zach Hall before we get to green flag pit stops, or does Zach just have that much pace over everybody else here tonight at Chicago?
I mean, looking at the fastest laps drivers have put down, our top three have put down the fastest laps of the night during the race session. Zach Hall put down the fastest with a 31.25 second lap time compared to Ross Tatum, who's in third place trying to make the pass. Right now, the 21 has the second fastest time ever put down. That was a 31.29. And then Ken Campbell with the third fastest as Ross continues once again to the inside lane. These drivers been keeping it up. A lot of aggressive driving, just a lot of holds and drivers trying to find where the comfort zone is. They're all feeling very stressed at times when the rear end starts to kick out. And if you'd like to get yourself a little bit of experience with feeling the sounds of racing, go head over to ButtKicker, one of the major sponsors of the Full Send Racing series. ButtKicker is the place to go if you'd like to feel what you've been missing. Experience the ultimate sim racing experience with ButtKicker, where you are able to feel the sounds, not just hear them. And as well, a big shout out to Next Level Racing. Next Level Racing is your ultimate sim racing rig. Feel the thrills, race to win, and level up now with Next Level Racing. And other major sponsors, and also tonight's major race sponsor, going to be that of GRESIM Studios. GRESIM Studios, if you missed out on seeing the great promo video that they have, it's a sim box that you can grab today. A way to enhance your racing experience, connecting it with your Next Level Racing rig and your ButtKicker, and a way to have hot buttons that are allowing you to maybe make small adjustments on the fly while racing, or even find ways to experience the racing in a little bit more detail. And our final major sponsor going to be On the Throttle Podcast. On the Throttle Podcast, so many different social places to go check them out. Mainly go to Instagram at On the Throttle Podcast and listen to them. Spotify and other great podcast spots. And you can listen to great racing conversations on the Throttle Podcast. Thank you to all the major sponsors for the Full Send Racing series in these Xfinity cars. Top out that of 8 drivers. Given it, I would say, from second back to 8th have been pretty close to one another. Not as close as they were in those first 40 laps, Trevor. I think this is that transitional phase we were talking about where you learn so much in that first stage.
Yeah, I think this is all the drivers learn what they can't get away with in that stage break, and that's kind of what separated everybody out. As on board, the Medlin cam's back, the Focus is back as he tries to run down the 14 of Chris Stevens right in front of him there in 8th position. And you can see nice little movements from Medlin, a little bit of a snap there for him halfway through the corner as he works his way out of 4. And again, a little bit of a correction. Looks loose for Medlin as he tries to work his way up through traffic. And Stevens able to drive away from him there as Medlin lost a little bit of momentum with that correction he had.
I think it was one of the few times we've seen Andrew Medlin actually just crack a smile while racing. So enjoying himself out on track as the Freaky Fast Racing team has been having a great run so far. First, second, and ninth currently is that team on where they're running. Christopher Norris, who's also part of the team, not able to show up here tonight as he's going to be missing all racing action of all the leagues that he runs here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting as he's away. We hope to have him back out on track as tonight's drivers, all 35 that are still running, out on the lead lap currently, but fill-in driver John Matthews is going to be one of the first drivers to watch out for to go a lap down. But a factor we have not talked about at all tonight, fuel. These drivers have been out on a 33-lap stint. When will they have to come into pit road? And can John Matthews get a caution that could get him back to the tail end of the pack?
Yeah, it's going to be the question. Is he going to catch a caution before he goes a lap down? Or will he end up going a lap down here before the green flag pit stops? And when will those green flag pit stops happen for these drivers? Thinking maybe 40, 45 laps for these guys. It could be a little bit longer, maybe 50. But when we get to those pit stops, saying you can't make a mistake. We saw how costly it was at Daytona last week. Equally as costly here at Chicagoland if you make a mistake under green flag.
Absolutely, and everyone's crossing their fingers and hoping that there's not going to be an incident. Most of the field is kind of spread out on where they're supposed to be. Here's the 44 of Curtis Volechka back half of the field of drivers. Volechka also part with teammates with Peter Dillon, all drivers that are more so known and attuned with road course racing, but wanted to give out oval racing than these Xfinity cars a chance. Got to talk to them at the start of last week's race, and it's always interesting when you find drivers that are trying to get more in tune with oval racing and kind of learning, and there is a lot more skill to find the extra speed that the top drivers have.
Yeah, oval racing, it's a different art compared to road racing. You're really comfortable in the road, but when you get to the ovals, it can be a little bit of a shock for you to learn how to go quickly, how to be consistently quick around an oval. So interesting to see how they grow going throughout the season and how good they're going to do on the road courses. But here, the 91 of Harris Gerwitz up here in 27th, having just a quiet run for himself, down 6 spots from where he qualified, but just kind of in a nice little bubble for himself, running out this green flag run.
And Harris Gerwitz going to be a part of the On the Throttle Racing podcast team that also has William Duff and Ryan Lynch apart. So 91 getting some good knowledge as those two other drivers have been up front. We've seen some good speed. William Duff, though, had a little bit of a slip up coming to the end of the stage and fell from 16th position back to 20th. Some major slots, but was able to hold on. 7th, trying to get a little bit more knowledge on where to go to advance forward, as he's in a good pairing of drivers and a lot of teammates from the SMB Motorsports Racing team, Jacob Grant, Joshua Altus, and Rob Sherwood that are around this 77.
Yeah, just all kind of right there around one another, trying to work their way forward as there's battling throughout the pack right in front of them. You see Altus going to the inside of Chris Stitz, doing battle along with the 28 of Tony Brent. So they're going to be side by side heading into 3. Up front, there was some battling, I believe, with that of Campbell, Tatum, and Sarton. But right here, really close out of 4 between Stitz and Altus. They almost made a little bit of contact. But this is going to be down here for that of 17th and 18th position, Sam. And Stitz was one of your favorites to watch out for in that 17. Really looking like he's struggling here.
Yeah, and I think the main reason why he's struggling a little bit more than usual, it could be internet issues. I've seen him throughout these first 81 laps of this race. About 3 times he's had a major blip where he's bounced out and kind of disappeared for the majority of the drivers. And he's lost over 3, 4, sometimes 8 positions each time that it blinks out. So 17, obviously a very uncomfortable race that he's having. And in front of these drivers, rushing the wall, Tony Brent in the 28. Be careful with getting any more scrapes that you can have, especially with the lots of speed that we've seen from the 42 of Cole Sacchetti. It's kind of been the poster child of if you get damage, how it's going to hurt you.
Yeah, and looking at the 17 of Chris Stitz, Sam, I see a little bit of damage on the right side of his car, so maybe the same thing that happened to the 42 of Cole, or the 42 of Cole Sacchetti, same thing that happened to Tony Brent. Could just be that little bit of right side damage.
Oh boy! These two drivers, Grant and as well Chris Stitz somehow was able to help the 19 not completely get spun out, but the 19 practically tried to wreck himself off the front bumper of the 17 through 3 and 4. He'll take the pass. Well, that could have been our first on-track incident to bring out a yellow, and Jacob Grant keeps his foot in the throttle and wheels that 19 to stay in front of everyone.
Saw the gap, took the gap, almost didn't work out for him, but gets through there, holds off the 77 of William Duff, who kind of came through there on the bottom side of the racetrack as they get by what I believe now is going to be the wounded 17 machine of Chris Stitz, but move that 19 machine up, and that's an aggressive move there, Sam, but running out of laps, you're going to have to be aggressive at some point to try to work your way forward through this field.
41 laps into the run. Now pit stops are about to be open on when you might be thinking hitting pit road. In the next about 5 laps or so, could be seeing that window finally open up for some if they think this race is going to finish under regulation and there's going to be no overtime. Other drivers might try to push the fuel maybe an extra 10 laps from where they stand now. And it's a big question mark. 4 tires and fuel is expected, but you do not want to make any mistakes as the battling for second position. Got a new contender in here. It's the 24 of Cameron Sarton.
Yeah, they've switched positions. I mean, Ross Tatum had a couple good shots at the 15 of King Cable, was never able to get around him. Cameron Sarton said, hey, I'm going to get around you. I'm going to go up here and try to pass this 15 machine who just has looked unpassable from everybody but his teammate of Zach Hall. Nobody's been able to get past this 15 machine. As Sarton tried to set up maybe a little bit higher line exit out of 4 to maybe get a good run here on the 15 machine, but still's not going to have a good look at getting by him heading here into 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like you have to make the pass on the outside on on that of Campbell. Campbell's just been way too strong on the middle, really able to hold off and defend. And as we've been watching this battle up front, first driver to hit pit road, it's going to be Jonathan Woods, which, no surprise, if you watched last season, Jonathan Woods was usually the driver testing the fates of a very early and aggressive pit stop. The exit of turn 4, Sarn finally might have gotten the run side by side across the line, and here we go for second place. Cameron Sarn wanting and needing to make this pass now.
Yeah, both of them had a little bit of a wiggle, but it was Campbell with a bigger wiggle in turn number 4 that allowed Sarton to have that run down the front straightaway. But here out of 2, Campbell with a much better exit, going to be able to hold off the 24, and it's going to be so frustrating for that of Cameron Sarton, Ross Tatum, to know that you're faster than this 15. You just can't get this pass done. And again, Sarton's going to dive it here to the bottom of Ken Campbell, but just doesn't have that momentum off the corner to get up to the quarter panel.
Just losing so much time. Another driver hitting into pit road going to be Brian McCann, who makes his stop, as well as Ryan Lynch in the 3 machine. Both drivers going to be having to make it on this race to stay green, make this undercut work. It's the 24. S launches out of 2 in a while, and now down into turn number 3. Cameron Sarin, Ross Tatum, trying to work his 1 with kind of the draft through the corners. As the 24 side by side, dead even. Now the exit of turn 4, but I just don't see how this 24 is going to make this pass with the shallow entry into turn number 1.
Yeah, I just can't keep the power down, the momentum down, and take a little bit higher line into 1 and 2, and maybe drift up into the door of Ken Campbell off corner.
Oh.
He's going to get loose, but saves it. But he's going to lose that 3rd spot from the 21 of Ross Tatum, and right back to the drawing board for the 24 Cameron Sarton.
It's just that shallow entry into turn 1. Just, it doesn't look like the car is ever comfortable, and you lose so much time trying to make sure you don't drift up to the driver to your outside. It just has not worked yet. Ross Tatum, though, will get a 3rd, 4th round at this moment, trying to go for this pass as more drivers hit pit road. It's going to be Trey Jackson, Chris Stevens, Cole Sacchetti, and Alex Jones all hitting pit road with William Duff as the group of 5 makes their stop. A couple of other drivers deeper in the field also hitting pit road. The radio comms very aggressive, and watch out for this group. Ken Campbell has made the call. He's hitting pit road, and that almost backfired with Ross Tatum on his back bumper.
Yeah, I thought Ross maybe was going to go with him there, but Ross trying to use that inside line to get a good exit there, but that actually checked him up, and now might allow the 24 of Cameron Sarton to get right back by him as Campbell was trying to come down pit road there.
And with all that debacle of this coming into pit road situation, it's actually lost this group a full second on Zach Hall, whose gap is now up to 3.5 seconds. It's Ross Tatum, Cameron Sarton, side by side, 4th and 2nd place position. The rest of the radio has been a lot of calls of drivers throughout the field, again, calling pit road stops. We're still waiting for our top 16 to hit pit road. And here comes Ross Tatum as well as Will Bustler making their entry.
Yeah, here they come. So now the question is going to be if you're Zach Hall, Cameron Sarton, Travis Dart, Altus, Jake Grant, when do y'all come down pit road? Is Bustler, John Dart, Christopher Wade, Jonathan Burt, they've all come down pit road. How much longer do you stay out on these old tires? And how much longer are you going to stay out? Or do you stay out as long as you can and maybe hope for a caution if you're some of these guys that were further down, like a Jacob Grant? Do you stay out, Sam, and maybe wait for a caution?
I think if you're Jacob Grant, you got to come in pit road. I understand the feeling of wanting to stay out as long as possible, but I think Zach Hall is about to maximize how long he's going to stay out because of the gap that he had for the lead. So even if you stay out, it may backfire. Even if you come into pit road, you have to make sure that you have a clean entry. 3 drivers have been caught speeding on entry, and that's going to be Harrison Gerwitz, Dylan, Peter Dillon, and Trey Jackson, all caught speeding on entry. And some drivers are still struggling out on old tires.
Yeah, you can see the speed difference here in old tires. Zach Hall locks it up, coming to pit entry. And that's going to cost him a lot of time, Sam. He had to almost come to a stop just to make sure he didn't hit the commitment cone there. And a huge mistake from our race leader.
And with coming into pit road with that complete halt and stop, he made it into the entry point, because if he had to go around the right side of the cone, that would have been an unsafe pit entry and would have given a black flag. But because he stopped, pulled into the left side, he was able to stay away from the penalty. But like you said, major loss of time. That is going to be crucial for later on in this race, because he was already giving up major ground with staying out later than everyone else that was behind him. So now Zach Hall goes from being kind of the prey to now he's going to be the predator. He has to hunt down and fight and claw to get up front as Travis Dart now hits pit road for the 26th, still waiting for 6 drivers to make their stops. And that's going to be Joshua Altus, Rob Sherwood, Dave McConnell. Travis Dart has already made his stop, but out of Tyler Thomas, Christopher Melton, and Philip Chavez all still need to make their stops. And a major slip up, but no black flag for Zach Hall. But the timing is thrown away from what was looking like an absolute of seeing the 32 get into victory lane. It is now a giant question mark of if he can run down his teammate of Ken Campbell, or will it be Brian McCann, who is right now the driver that's leading the drivers that have already come into pit road.
It's going to be interesting to see here what's going to happen. I mean, that was just such an uncharacteristic mistake there, as Joshua Altus, our current leader, who still is yet to make his pit stop here, along with that of Rob Sherwood, David McConnell, Tyler Thomas, Philip Chavez, the last 6 drivers that have yet to make a pit stop. And I think, Sam, they're on that strategy. We're going to stay out, maybe hope that some of these guys on newer tires mix it up with one another, might cause a caution, and they can get some track position. But when this turns over and they all make their pit stops, it's going to be McCain, Campbell, Bustler, Tatum, Lynch, Woods, Stevens, and then Zach Hall all the way down there. I mean, that was just so much time lost for the 32.
Right now, currently, with where Brian McCann is and where Zach Hall is currently, it is a 10-second gap between the 2 drivers. And can Zach Hall run down the 8 is going to be the biggest question. Last lap was only 0.2 faster than Brian McCann. So it is looking highly unlikely that Zach Hall's going to catch up with the 8 machine. But what a heroic run it could be if he's able to do so. And on top of that, Zach's trying to catch up not just to Brian McCann, but also trying to catch up to Ken Campbell. And Campbell, honestly, is pretty far back to where the 8 machine is as well.
Yeah, Campbell looking at it about that of almost 8 seconds, maybe 7 seconds behind that of Brian McCann. And then you've got Bustler, Ross Tatum, Ryan Lynch all right there. I mean, that Ryan Lynch, Tatum, Bustler, his teammate. I mean, that's a lot of tough competition for Zach Hall to pass, especially this late in the race, coming to what's about to be 37 to go.
And those are not going to be easy passes. These drivers are all going to be very much holding off everyone for every single lap. You're fighting for each position. Brian McCann might have just came in with the cleanest stop and exit than any other driver and maximized his tire advantage. The 8 machine looking like the heavy favorite currently with Zach Hall's mistake, as drivers still needing to come into pit road. The 32 setting up for the pass on Ryan Lynch, who's looking for 10th position currently, will be 5th. For drivers that are yet to come into pit road is our top 5, Altus, Sherwood, McConnell, Tyler Thomas, and Melton still need to come to pit road. And oh boy, what you seeing there?
Campbell and Bustler halfway down the back straightaway make contact with one another. Will Bustler able to get to the outside of the 15? And Campbell, like we've seen with other drivers, with the 24 of Sarton, drivers to the inside get tight, pushed up into the 1 of Bustler, saved it, but this could cost the 15 a ton of time.
The 15 now losing 2 positions, and what once was the great defender of Ken Campbell, well, that is falling down. His kingdom's going to have to find some other way to push through as they continue to beat and bang and battle their way forward as we hit lap 100. 34 laps still to go here tonight, and everyone's running down to catch up to the 8 machine, as everyone that has yet to pit have made their stops now. Brian McCann, Joshua Altus, Rob Sherwood finally hit pit road, and it's down to Brian McCann leading the way. And how will the 8 machine have to defend the rest of the field, because the gap is 7 seconds, and I'm still, Trevor, trying to figure out how just a simple 4-lap advantage has ballooned the gap out to this big.
I mean, I think he just had the perfect pit stop in and out, maybe didn't hit any traffic coming out on those fresh tires. I mean, that is a great run, 7.3 seconds. And looking at his lap times, I mean, he's running about 3 to 4 tenths slower than that of Will Bustler and Ross Tatum. But I mean, Sam, if he's saving a little bit of tire, he might have something for these guys when they eventually catch him.
I'm looking at the speed, though. It's going to be hard for that last lap because he blinked out. We do not get that lap's telemetry. But Zach Hall, as you can see, the 32, is screaming fast. Last lap put a 31.7. Easily gets by Ross Tatum, who's not even going to put up a fight for the 32. Zach Hall is the driver. If he's going to catch up to Brian McCann, he's going to be the one. The gap is now less than 7 seconds, with coming to 30 laps to go. And caution flag is out, and it's Christopher Melton going to be in pit road. I'm trying to find out who brought out the yellow, but the shocker of a caution coming out.
Oh, that's going to change the complexity of this race. Is the mistake from Zach Hall is going to get erased. He's going to get it closed back up. I think everybody's going to come down, maybe take tires. But same, if you're those guys that just pitted, do you stay out here and get that track position back?
I believe it was Christopher Melton, and he just came out of pit road and across the blue line. That is your merge line that you have to pass, and then just came to a stop and took a toe to pit road. And I believe that's what brought out their caution.
Yeah, it's kind of what it looks like. Might have had an equipment issue for the 93 and had to take a tow back to pit road. Just an unfortunate spot there, as he's technically in the racing line for the guys in 1 and 2. And you give him credit, not coming back onto the track with maybe a technical issue, but you can see right here, just something happens to the 93. He's got to stop here and tow back to pit road as once he comes off pit road.
And right when he crosses the line, pulls off. There's certain spots on the track that even on the apron, if you take a tow and you come to a complete stop, that will throw out a yellow. And what was looking to be a shocker of a race of seeing if Zach Hall could run down Brian McCann, throw that out the window. We are going to have a less than 30 lap dash to see who's winning this race. And how many cautions could we have? Because this is going to be the most intense we've seen the racing all night long. And as well, who can get out of pit road the quickest? Brian McCann going to be the first driver to hit his box. Is the field, 4 tires and fuel, and who can get out of their stall the quickest?
Yeah, who can get out of the stall their quickest? Looks like McCann's going to be the first one off pit road. Zach Hall trying to give chase. He might be the second, but I think he's going to get beat by Will Bustler, who has the first pit box after starting on the pole. And one driver, I believe, Sam, only one driver stays out, and that's going to be the 94 of Joshua Altus.
Joshua Altus, right before the caution flag came out, he hit pit road and was able to stay on the lead lap. So that caution lined out perfectly for the 94. It's going to be about a 1 to 2 laps of green flag racing difference between the 94 and the rest of the field. And, hey, that just it's a perfect timing to take the track position that's necessary for the 94.
Yeah, could really just benefit him here. Clean air might be beneficial for the 94. We're going to have to see, but just based off the speed, I don't know if anybody's got anything, Sam, to hold off this 32 machine of Zach Hall.
Well, because of an emergency, I had to step away, which took away our opportunity to talk to our stage winner. So let's see what Ken Campbell is thinking. He's gotten passed, pushed around, and we'll see if the 15, how he's thinking about making the charge to go for the win here tonight. Ken Campbell, 15 machine. It's Sam and Trevor up in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, Ken, you find yourself being up front, getting the stage win back at lap 40. Now you find yourself a little bit deeper in the field. How are you feeling currently right now to try to go for this win tonight?
Well, feeling pretty confident on the P2. I don't know that anybody's going to catch Zach. But yeah, the clean air out front is really nice. And then after about 10 laps, you can defend really well on the high line. So I expect the restart here with people trying to get spots on the bottom to be something to watch.
We saw it there with you and Will Bustler coming out of turn number 2. We've seen it a couple of other times with cars on the bottom trying to get that pass done. Is it just that hard getting the car to turn down low, or is it just more of the momentum having the momentum on that outside line that makes it easier?
Yeah, it's not so much on entry. On entry, you can get it. It's just so loose on exit that you have a hard time getting the power down. And if the car on the outside is not giving you all sorts of room, then they just carry the momentum off.
Well, Ken, last question before we send you back to your team and get ready for the restart. Do you feel like this caution is going to help you or hurt you for the end of this race?
Well, I hope it helps me. I was on a couple lap older tires than the other guys, and so it looks like getting those couple of laps to even out will hopefully help, but we'll have to see.
We're hoping for the best. Good luck, Ken. We'll send you back to your team.
Appreciate it.
Well, that's going to be the 15 machine of Ken Campbell. Got the stage win, and he'll be starting in 6th position on this restart. Trevor, I mean, hearing from a teammate saying, hey, I'm fighting for 2nd place, it's got to be an awkward feeling, but hey, he's still got a chance up in the top 6.
Yeah, still got a chance, but I mean, it just goes to show you what he really thinks, or how much faster he really thinks Zach is compared to everybody else. I mean, he dominated Sam the first 40 laps of this race, and then now he's like, I'm over here fighting for 2nd. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But he said, watch out for the inside line, watch out for this restart. He said it's going to be wild, so we're going to have to sit back and see what happens here.
Who is going to win the GRESIM Studios 200 at Chicagoland? Up front, Joshua Altus going to be on slightly older tires than the rest of the field. Brian McCann going to be the first on the freshies on the outside. The rest of the field is ready to get rolling. Christopher Melton, John Matthews, and Cedric Hunter are out of the race, but everyone else ready to get rolling. 29 drivers on the lead lap, and the green flag is out here tonight. The start of lap 108 of 133, and it's going to be seeing Joshua Altus, Brian McCann. Thought the 8 was going to get a better launch, but instead Altus with the slight gap through 1 and 2.
Yeah, I got a good jump there in that 94 machine. It's going to be the battle for second between Altus and Bustler. And Bustler gets loose, so he's going to drop back behind the 32 of Zach Hall. McCain going to try to see if he can close it on this 94, but it's going to be Zach Hall, the one to watch out for. Going into 3 and 4, he's going to look to the inside, but the 8's going to cover him off there over the bump. Both of them get a little bit of a wiggle, but our top 4 or 5 all single filed out.
And Brian McCann just doing a slight coverage, not fully putting the bumper, covering off Zach Hall's line. Looks to be Joshua Altus 1 lap in, and he's able to defend, but the question now looms of how many laps can the 94 truly defend Brian McCann or Zach Hall, because we know the slightly fresher tires is a major advantage here at Chicagoland, but we're not going to need to worry. Caution is out, and it's Joshua Altus' teammate, Rob Sherwood, in the grass through the backstretch.
You're not sure what happened to Sherwood. I think this is what Altus wants. He wants to run a couple laps, get a caution, run a couple more laps, get a caution, click off these laps, because I think he'll be able to hold off these guys for 3 or 4 laps. But once those tires continue to heat cycle out, I think he's going to be in some trouble.
And also another question that's going to be looming is, all these drivers still have, majority of them, 1 more set to work with. Other drivers have 2 sets to work with if you're Joshua Altus. So now kind of looms in the background of, do you even think about using another set before this race is done, or have you already passed that zone? But this is what brought out our yellow. Watch out for the green Texas Speed driver on the inside of the 11. That's Tyler Thomas. The 22 in the middle, and it's going to be the 11 just drifting up, gets a clip of the rear quarter panel, and sends Rob Sherwood spinning into the grass.
Yeah, just nothing. Just 3 wide there. It looks like they all kind of got bunched up. The 44 there. To the outside of all of them, just kind of gets everybody checked up in the middle. That's Curtis Velichka in the 44, and Sherwood trying to go 3 wide, and just like we heard Campbell say, you just get kind of loose off the bottom there if you don't have enough room. And I think that's what happened there with Tyler Thomas. Got a little bit loose, got into the side of the 22 and sends him through the grass. But luckily for Sherwood, no contact with anything else, so just gonna be able to drive it out of the grass and catch back up to the rear of the field.
We can catch back up, maybe to make a decision to come to pit road, get slight damage repair, maybe use a set of those tires, as the 22 is one of the few that had 2 sets still in pit road. So add that extra set to kind of burn now, and already be in the back, so might as well get some fresh rubber to work with. Other drivers that came into pit road going to be Philip Chavez, Tyler Thomas, and Trey Jackson. Get some repairs and use one of their set of tires, as we're coming to 20 to go. And I feel like this is kind of the last opportunity you're going to have if you're going to be wanting to have a slight offset on your tires and have that slight advantage.
Yeah, I don't think, unless this goes to lap 130 and then we get a caution, maybe you come down pit road. But I don't think if you're inside the top 10, I don't think you're giving up this track position right here.
No, maybe 5 more laps. If we go green for a 5-lap stint and then caution comes out, that might enforce drivers that are 15th or worse to come into pit road. But I think that's the only way we would be seeing some of these drivers think about even testing pit stops. But Joshua Altus is going to be up front. Brian McCann, Zach Hall, Will Bustler, Ross Tatum, your top 5. Ken Campbell going to be in 6. 7th, Andrew Medlin with Ryan Lynch, Jonathan Woods, Chris Stevens going to be your top 10. Looking at some of the biggest movers so far, we got a couple of them. Joshua Altus, because of the time in the yellow and staying out, he's taking the biggest jump of 28 positions for the 94 machine. Zach Hall was been one of the biggest movers, up 23 positions, and Jonathan Woods going to be the other driver, up 23 spots. Deeper in the field, Alex Jones still in a incredible run, up 15 spots, while in 15th position currently for the 45.
Yeah, having a good run up there. But I mean, you look further back, Sam Colsacchetti all the way down there in 17th after the contact he made with the wall, after battling up there with the lead for Ken Campbell. Chris Stitz back there as well. I mean, just drivers that we thought were going to have good nights all the way back there outside the top 20, just with a little bit of contact to the wall, showing you your night could go from good to bad just with one little mistake.
Yeah, one little tap could really put you in a spiral. And as These drivers trying to settle back in, find their comfort zone. I know we got a lot of Texas Speed fans out there. Currently the highest runner of all the Texas Speed drivers, going to be the 6th of Jonathan Burt in 20th position. And the next closest would be last week's Daytona winner, Tony Brent, in 23rd position. So those drivers going to need to find a little bit of extra speed to crack the top 20. But up front, where do you go if you're Joshua Altis? Space car lights click off. We are in the 1 to go position. Looks like the 94 wants to keep that inside position.
Yeah, I think he's going to take that inside line, set him up well into 1 and 2. He's going to get a good jump here on the restart. It's going to be the question if McCann can time it well and hold off the 32 of Zach Hall, or if Zach, being behind the race leader, is going to be able to get a good enough jump and maybe clear the 8 and only have Altis to get around for that lead position. So I think the key is going to be that outside line if the 8 can get an equal launch to the 94.
Who's going to get the better launch here? Again, thank you so much to everyone that's been watching with us here tonight for the Full Send Racing Series. The Xfinity car, which is only race number 2 of the season. Drivers have a lot more of great racing action heading our way. Next week, going to be at Dover, Michigan, and Iowa, the next 3 destinations for this group. And who could find themselves in a victory lane here tonight? Looking like we're going to have our second different winner of the season. Is, like I said, Tony Brent deep in the field. Zach Hall, last season's champion, looking like the odds-on favorite, but he qualifies 3rd. He's going to be starting 3rd, as he qualified all the way deeper in the field. He's been marching his way forward all night long. Can he get back to the lead position? Let's find out. 20 laps to go for the GRESIM Studios 200 here at Chicagoland. A fabulous launch for the 94. And Zach Hall not able to get to the quarter panel, but the 8 gives the opening. It's side-by-side for 2nd place now.
Yeah, side by side for second. I think this is going to be the battle that Zach needs to get this clear as soon as he can. But McCann going to have that momentum on the outside line, going to keep clear the 32. He's going to have to fall back in line, and this might give Ross Tatum a chance to maybe look to the inside of the 32 of Zach Hall into 3 and 4. But Zach's going to cover it off. McCann going to dive it to the inside to see if he can get a run on the 94 of Altis, but a little bit of a wiggle from the 8. It's going to allow the 94 to continue to drive away from the field as everybody starts to single file their way out and try to get as many spots as they can.
Most drivers single filed out from our top 11. It's going to be 12 on back. Drivers are stacking up and trying to find where their maximum speed's going to be. But for the lead position, Joshua Altis, he is now in heavy struggle, some spots. Not as good of a launch as he wanted and had last time, with Brian McCann, Zach Hall, both on the quarter panel. The 94 looking like a sitting duck as McCann gets up to the gas pedal, throttles up, and it's a drag race across the line here with 18 laps to go at Chicagoland.
Yeah, but Altis is going to have that preferred line here through 1 and 2. See if he can hold off this 8 machine. But I mean, it's that 1 lap difference in tires. That's all it really is. But here comes the 94. He's going to pinch the 8. Almost contact made, but Altis is going to be able to hang on. And McCann's got to cover off the 32 of Zach Hall. Make sure he doesn't get to the outside, and he does. He's going to have to set up this 94 one or another time here as they hit through 3 and 4.
So many opportunities, and now going to be seeing how to get set up to get by the 94. Got to see the playbook of Ken Campbell. Great defensive runs. You just hold that middle line for every corner, and you do not allow your outside positioning to be given up. Zach Hall thought he was going to have a chance to get to the outside wall and just rip the top to maybe go 3 wide. Instead, top 2 once again exited the corner of turn 2. It's been a dangerous spot, and Trevor had a feeling we could be seeing our front 2 wipe each other out with how close they've been getting each and every lap now.
We very well could. I mean, McCann, that's twice he's almost made contact, and right there, a little bit of a push off the corner of 4 is Zach Hall now to the outside of that 8 machine. McCann's tried everything he can to get around Joshua Altis, but now he's got to defend off the 32, and this is where we might see contact. He's going to dive it to the bottom again, and if he gets tight here, this could not only take out the leader, but maybe the 32 is Zach Hall, but McCann keeps it to the bottom. But he's going to lose so much momentum, and here comes Zach Hall to the outside. And this is the last thing that Joshua Altis wanted to see, is his buffer between him and that 32 machine pretty much gone now as McCann still tries to fight back on that inside line.
Yeah, it just looked like McCann gave up a little bit on the exit, gassing up that 8 machine. Didn't feel comfortable, saw 2 opportunities of almost contact for front runners and decides to take it safe. But that safe driving is what's potentially going to give up a chance to take this lead position. Zach Hall moving up just slightly, trying to get some more momentum to complete this pass, but continues to get boxed in. There's just nowhere to go. Altis defending perfectly over the 8 and the 32 currently.
Yeah, this might actually work out for McCann. I mean, if Altis can continue to maybe check up that outside line and hold up the 32, I mean, he's got nowhere to go. running that top groove. This might help McCann on the bottom. Is Zach a little bit of a shot for the rear end of the 94 Baltus, trying to move him up the track, see if he can get to his inside here through 1 and 2, almost a little bit of 3 wide action, but right here off the corner again, Altus is going to have to drive off, and Zach Hall again just blocked in with nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go, but going to be giving the draft assistance to the lead driver. Joshua Altus on the outside. McCann throws it down, going for the slide job move. Almost fully clear. Altus needs to gas it up and not allow the 8 to fully commit to the inside groove, but is able to keep just the nose in front of going to be that of McCann, but Altus just trying to keep any little bit there as Zach Hall dives it down low, makes the pass for second, and Altus did everything he could, but now we'll have to watch the battling of the 8 and the 32.
I mean, what a great job defending Joshua Altus did. Just doesn't have the tires to hang on to it. McCann, Zach Hall by. Here comes the 21 of Ross Tatum. He's going to get by the 94 as well, and if these two get to battle in front of them, this can open up the door for that 21 machine to really maybe play spoiler to what we thought would have been an easy win for Zach Hall, but McCann right now got that clean air. He's going to have that defensive ability over the 32, but our top 5, top 6 all nose to tail here.
Top 5 really giving everything they've got, and Altus, those old tires just gave out in the end, and now it is all down to Brian McCann, Zach Hall, who are very aggressive. McCann probably has the weakest tires currently after the amount of battling the 8 had to put on those tires to get by Altus. Zach Hall in a pretty good spot, but Ross Tatum, Will Bustler, they played the patience game. What are their tires going to be looking like with 11 laps to go? When is it the go time? And it looks like for Ross Tatum, he's banking on Zach Hall to put the pressure and for the 8 and the 32 continue to stay side by side for a good margin. But McCann's looking great with the fresh air on that front bumper.
Yeah, I think Zach got a little loose there at a 2, and that allowed Tatum to close up just a little bit, but Zach drives it really deep into 3 and 4. He gets really right back to the rear bumper of the 8 of McCann, makes up for that time that he lost. And I think Zach looks a little bit stronger through 3 and 4 than I think everybody else, but 1 and 2 looks pretty equal with everybody around him. And again here, on the top 3 all nose to tail right down to the bottom with one another as they try to get that draft off of one another and hope the other one gets loose and try to set up a run.
10 laps to go, and it looks to be a trifecta of drivers trying to figure out where do you want to place yourself. Brian McCann in the 8, trying to get his first ever win in the Full Send Racing Series. Came into this series as a rookie. We knew he was going to be a threat to watch out for. Zach Hall, last season's champion, trying to get up front and be a contender for the lead. And Zach Hall to the inside, able to pick a nose for the lead position. And Ross Tatum trying to follow in suit, but Ross, the amount of times last season he finished second fiddle to Zach Hall, tonight he wants to flip the script and get the win.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be so frustrating to see Zach Hall going for the lead, and Zach's going to dive it into 3 and 4, not clear the 8 of McCann, but it's the drive off. I mean, Sam, he almost had the better drive off of 4. That's the first time we've pretty much seen all night somebody have an equal drive off to our leader on the inside line on any turn. And down here to 1 and 2, can Zach clear this 8 machine? Ross Tatum again going to be in that unenviable position of being boxed in, but McCann going to do a good job. Ross Tatum with a great run, though. He's going to get to the outside of this 32 of Zach Hall, who struggled on the bottom of corner 8.
Struggled there, but it's been 1 and 2. The outside lane's been preferred and has had the better run. 8 laps to go, and Zach Hall trying to keep the nose close, but a big slip and a slide. Ross Tatum now going to be bounced into the outside lane. Ross with the better run of our top 2 drivers, and he's going to be side by side for second. Thought about poking the nose to go 3 wide. 7 laps to go, and it's looking closer and closer for chaos up front. Will Bustler now putting the nose and trying to close in the gap, but he's 3/10 back from the chaos that's about to be raining down as Zach just gives up second.
Yeah, gave up second, had another wiggle out of 2, had to give second up, and here comes Ross Tatum with a run to the inside of the 8 of McCann out of 4. He big wiggle there as well, almost gets into the 8 of McCann, and I mean, this is heating up here for the top 4 spots, and with all that, Will Bustler's been able to close in, so make this a 4-car battle for the lead into 1 and 2, and here goes Tatum to the inside, gets pinched a little bit there by the 8 of McCann. He's going to take it down to the white line, gets a really good run, though, out of on the corner exit. Still going to be at the quarter panel, trying to get a little bit of side draft down the back straightaway, heading into turn number 3.
And as this field continues to find where they can go, our top 4 really putting on a great show. The middle of the pack also looking chaotic, like we could be seeing a caution at any moment, but also we can be seeing the yellow up front. Ross Tatum, Brian McCann trying their best on where to place themselves and how do you make the move, because Brian McCann, you might have to bump and run, almost contact as they were in the entry of the corner, but they will hold on and survive. But caution comes out. It's a massive wreck in that of 1 and 2.
Oh, it's calamity. I mean, it's absolute pandemonium in turn 1 and 2, Sam. I mean, there's 5, 6, 7, 8 cars. Just all Brian Wilson, the 55 Trey Jackson there, the 2, the 101 of Philip Chavez involved, and catch your breath now. And what do you do pit strategy wise?
It's the battling for 12th place going horrifically wrong. Cole Sacchetti and Jonathan Woods making contact. The rest of the field nowhere to go. As that is, I'm looking at that collection of drivers. I think it might have been in the tens of drivers that were caught up in this one.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the battling up front, and we didn't get to see the battle in mid-pack because the battle for the lead was just so intense, but the battle in mid-pack equally as intense back there as we take a look at the replay. And you've got Sacchetti there in the 42, the 2 of Jonathan Woods as well. And maybe just a bad block from the 42 of Sacchetti as they head through the tri-oval here. Woods trying to get to the outside and just not clear, turning into the corner, gets into the quarter panel there of the 42, and just nowhere for the rest of the field to go.
And this is when things go bad, because now you got multiple drivers going to be sideways, and the contact there into Doug Pierce just clogging up the track. No one really having anywhere to avoid. Jacob Grant, Trey Jackson, and so many others just pile in, and Grant just goes flipping and tossing and able to land on all 4 for a quick second. But the 19, probably with the wildest ride of them all, as the field has the big one strike. As now, this is in a tricky spot for the field, because we could be heading into overtime for these drivers at the timing of this caution.
We could, and it looks like the top 10? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, top 10 stay out. Everybody behind them comes in either for damage repair, fresh tires, and it might be interesting, Sam. That was kind of that window I was talking about. If we got to that lap 130 mark, 129 mark, got a caution, what do you do? And our leaders electing to stay out here.
Looking at the pit stops, top 11 all going to be on old tires, as David McConnell came into pit road, was expecting to take tires, but saw an opportunity to just take track position, so just drove through pit road. We'll see if he's going to be coming in later on tonight. Later on, as the drivers come off the exit of 4. Ryan Lynch in the 3 was the most reckless driver, as well as Tyler Thomas, as they will both be just taking 2 tires as McConnell heads into pit road to get service done. Same for that is Stephen Bustler, who is now going to make it to where it's only our top 9 drivers on old rubber. But Joshua Altus and Cameron Stark going to be the first drivers on all 4 freshies, as we have officially entered overtime on our 4th caution of the night.
I think that's going to be a lot to ask for on 4 fresh tires to get through the field. But, I mean, they should be able to, I would think on those fresh tires, be able to take pretty good advantage of it. But first attempt at a green-white checkered, and Sam, with how rough they were running each other right there toward the end of that between McCann, Tatum, Zach Allwell, Bustler, Andrew Medlin, we might see another caution, and it might not be from the middle of the pack. It might be from the front.
Yeah, I mean, with how hard they were racing, who knows what's going to happen here. Also, wheel spin could be a factor to watch out for. Old tires. I got to say, Trevor, I'm getting nervous for this field, because it was looking solidified that our top 5 were going to put down probably the most incredible finish we could have asked for, trying to tie up the best finish we've ever had with last week. And now it is a giant unknown of who's going to win here tonight, with the gamble that the back half of the field is taking.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I had a prediction for who I thought was going to win, but that's all out the window now, and especially with the bit of differing in tire strategy here. I think it's going to come down to this restart. If McCann can get a good jump and Zach Hall and Ross Tatum get to battle, and that could be all that 8 machine needs to pull away, but it's going to be, I think this restart's really going to set us up for what could happen here on the finish.
And who could get it done? Ryan McCann, Ross Tatum, Zach Hall, Will Bustler, your top 4. how much are their tires able to survive as they were out there green flag racing for about 25 laps compared to those that just got fresh rubber. And some of the drivers that are up front, scary thoughts of how are they going to take off. I mean, with Christopher Wade having no front clip, that inside lane is going to look dangerous to take off, and everyone else in the giant unknown. But welcome, ladies and gentlemen. If you've just joined us now, we have entered into our first attempt at overtime. If we get a yellow flag on this first lap, we will go into attempt number 2. But if we get the white flag, this race is turned official, and it's all about who crosses the line first. Brian McCann, Ross Tatum, and everyone inside of our top 9 going to be on old tires or damaged. Everyone from 10th on back just got some rubber and are ready to take off. You're watching the GRESIM Studio 200 at Chicagoland for the Full Send Racing Series. Who's winning race number 2 of the season? As the pace car is off, green flags in the air, a fabulous launch for the 8 of Brian McCann. The rest of the field, they've got to get rolling now as we head into turn number 1.
That's what McCann needed with a perfect restart. And Zach Hall's going to clear the 21 of Ross Tatum. So Tatum's going to be the biggest loser there out of all that. McCann with a good launch. Zach is a little loose, though, as he tries to run down that 8 machine here halfway down the back straightaway, heading into 3 and 4. Where's the new rubber at? How quickly are they going to be able to work their way through the field? Looks like Cameron Sarton's still back there in 9.
Altis in 6. Altis is in 6, but he's about to move up to 4th and 3rd. If he can slide through, he's trying to make the pass if possible. Across the line, it's your next level racing. White flag. Brian McCann now trying to hold off the 94, and Andrew Medlin is doing perfect. Bumps in the 94, gets him out of the way. Cameron Sarton trying to go through. It's now just the front 2. Brian McCann, Zach Hall, who is going to pass and make the run because Cameron Sarton and Altis are too far back. Calamity strikes the 8 machine, having a car length ahead over Zach Hall. Brian McCann, the rookie. It took him 2 races. They 8 holds off the faster drivers, and the 8 wins at Chicagoland.
What a finish. McCann had the perfect restart, got away from the field, did everything he needed to do right there. Zach Hall hangs on to Ross Tatum. Cameron Sarton, Joshua Altis come across the line 5th and 6th on the new tires. I mean, had they not got caught up there behind Will Bustler, the 12 of Andrew Medlin, I think they might have stood a chance at catching up to them, Sam. I mean, they were flying on those new tires, got held up in traffic there. But, I mean, what a finish. I mean, you go from a photo finish to a green-white checkered finish and a great battle throughout the course of the race. What a better way to, or I couldn't think of a better way to start the season than that.
No, and it shows the competition level this season. I mean, it was crazy the last couple of seasons, but season 5 might be the toughest competition of the whole series, and we cannot wait for it. As the 8 of Brian McCann gets to have his fun, we are heading to the post-race show in just a few moments. You can't even see the 8 with the perfect burnout, but when we come back, we're going to talk to our top 3, Ross Tatum, Zach Hull, Brian McCann, and a spotlight driver right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for race number 2 of the season for the Full Send Racing Series. The GRESIM Studios 200 at Chicagoland had to go into overtime to figure out who's going to get the victory. And the driver that got it done, it's the 8 up Brian McCann getting the victory. It only took 2 races before this rookie can get in victory lane. And Brian, welcome to victory lane, getting your first Full Send Racing Series win. Man, how are you feeling after tonight? That looked like a grueler at times.
Yeah, man, that was a fun race. Had a really good pit strategy there and came out and got the lead with a pretty good amount of seconds in front of the rest of the pack. But came out of the pits and wore my tires out. I just got so happy and drove way too hard, and they were going to run me down. But then that caution came out, and then everything reset. So I got to run up front with them, and I knew which line to take and to protect, and I did that. And luckily, we were side by side a few times. I think we even made contact in a couple of turns, but that was some really close, really fun racing.
I mean, Brian, what's going through your mind there? You're side by side with Zach Hall, Ross Tatum, and them. A little bit of contact maybe, but what's going through your mind when that caution comes out and you're setting up for that green, white checkered?
I was debating tires, no tires, a lot of cars on the track, and some guys are going to try it, some guys are not, and I got track position, so I preferred track position and see what happened. And luckily it paid off.
That it certainly did. I mean, Brian, after watching how you performed at the Clash, had a feeling that you were going to be a big threat to watch out for throughout this season. And now you've got your first win of the season. We're heading to Dover, Michigan, Iowa. Do you feel like you're going to grab another victory in those next 3 races?
I can't say for sure. I just come out here and try my best every week. Dover, I know the track really good. I'm not the best at it. It chews the right front up pretty hard, so I got to learn how to not do that. But yeah, that's a racy track, so we'll be out there doing the same thing we were tonight. So I look forward to it.
Well, we cannot wait to see how you're going to perform in these upcoming races. Brian, congratulations again on your first win. And before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
I'd like to thank my family, my wife, everybody watching tonight, you guys for doing the broadcast, the admins for putting this league on, the race control, sponsors, and the drivers, man. It's just fun to come out here and race with everybody. A lot of clean drivers, a lot of hard racing. I love it.
Well, that is going to be your GRESIM Studio 200 victor, Brian McCann in the 8 machine. Congratulations and good luck next week at Dover. As we go from that of our victory lane, let's go to second place, where we find ourselves with Zach Hall in the 32. Biggest mover of the day was this 32 machine, but was not able to get to victory lane. Zach, you had a lot of ups and downs, poor qualifying time. You got to the lead and dominated for a quick second. But man, how are you feeling coming away with second place at the end of the day?
Happy with second, but still a little bittersweet, maybe. Felt like we had the dominant car. We misqualified. I had something happen that I couldn't get 2 laps in, so I luckily could get 1 to start 26. But I felt good after that first stage, getting all the way up to 7th. I was kind of surprised how fast I still was after really charging through the field. So I had a feeling like if I could get up there and get in the mix, I think I could be really, really quick. And I think that showed, especially there on the really, really long run. I felt really, really confident. And then we had a pretty big mistake on entry to pit road. And I usually always practice your pit entries, in the practice session. But I didn't do it tonight and kind of misjudged it with the brake bias. I feel like just locked the fronts up and it slid to the right. And I literally came to almost a complete stop. I don't know if they got to see it on the broadcast, but that pit entry might have took a little bit of the chance away I think I had at winning the race, because I might have been closer to Brian with his super undercut that allowed him to jump out there to that lead. So I probably kind of hurt myself there a little bit, but at the end of the day, we'll take second after a very tough Daytona.
I mean, Zach, biggest mover of the night. We talked to your teammate there in the middle part of the race after he won the stage and was getting his thoughts on what it was like to pass drivers out there. But he said it was outside was where you wanted to be, inside was a little bit loose, especially if you got pinched. I mean, but what were your thoughts? Being the biggest mover and working your way up here to second, what was your thoughts on getting through the field?
It was tough, but it was doable. It kind of had to catch people off guard. Someone like Brian, first off, congrats to him on the win. That's cool to see a new guy come in and get a win. But he was just good enough there to kind of hold me off. If someone could struggle off a 2 and give me enough off of 2, I felt confident make passes in 3 and 4, especially on the bottom. But anytime you're making a pass in 1 and 2, you had to almost make it on the top. So that's where I think it got a little tricky with the passing and tough to do. But luckily, I was able to get a lot of that done and almost got it done there right at the end. I think I was a couple feet from clearing them in 3 and 4 one of those times, and just didn't get too aggressive. I thought maybe I'd have a few more tries, but lost the big momentum down the straights with, the draft and so much throttle time.
Well, Zach, we saw last season you won a lot of races, didn't win every race. But so what is the confidence level though after for 2 races in and heading to Dover, Michigan, and Iowa, these upcoming races?
I feel confident at the 1.5 mile tracks right now. I feel like my intermediate program with this car is going to suit me a little bit, at least especially if it's loose like that. If it's on the tighter side, I might struggle sometimes, but I really enjoyed how it drove here tonight. Definitely freeing up. I'm interested to see how Dover drives. If Dover's loose, I feel like that track will be good for me, but if it's tight, I think I'm going to struggle. I think the short tracks and the smaller race tracks are where I'm going to need to clean stuff up. But hopefully starting in Michigan, we can get right back up in there because I think I battled for the win coming to the end at that race 2 seasons ago in this Xfinity car and 1 in the truck. So it's been a good track for me here in this series. So we'll see how that works out. But, long regular season. Let's start getting on the roll now, or hopefully early.
Certainly so. Well, Zach, before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Well, first off, shout out to all you guys up in the booth. Y'all do a wonderful job each and every week up here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Not only a pleasure to watch as a driver and race out here with y'all's commentary, but also to work with you guys. So it's a pleasure to do all that with the Freaky Fast family. Also, shout out to Next Level Racing, ButtKicker, Reg Customs, FR Graphics, Impact Sim Designs, On Throttle Podcast, and GER Sim Studios. As those guys are a great bunch of sponsors here for Full Sim Racing, and it's a pleasure to be the returning champion here and get to go try to see if I can defend it. But we'll see how it works out. But again, thank you to everybody tuning in.
Good job, Zach. Again, 2nd place finish, and good luck next week. And we hope for the best for you.
Thanks, guys.
As we go from 2nd place, let's go down to 3rd. Ross Tatum. We've got to be looking for that little bit of extra something here tonight. And that 21 machine gonna be a driver I think we got to watch out for after tonight's performance. Ross, get a 3rd place finish. Man, how are you feeling after that chaotic final 30 laps with all the cautions and everyone on top of one another?
Honestly, feeling pretty good to come out of that with 1 piece and a 3rd. I really thought tires would get us there at the end, so pretty glad to come out with a 3rd. Wish I could have won it. I really felt like I was in front of him when the caution came out, but that's just iRacing checkpoints and stuff. So, but all in all, really fun night for as many drivers as we had to only have a couple cautions. A lot of fun. Great job by everybody in the league tonight.
Well, Ross, you get through Daytona. It's the 3rd place here tonight at at Chicagoland. Head to Dover, Michigan, Iowa. I mean, how are you feeling about the next 3 races coming up and about the about getting a good start here to the season?
I feel pretty good. I really love Dover. I might get an EOL for some comments I made during the race. We'll see. So that might be tough. It's gonna be tough to get through the field there, but yeah, all those tracks are pretty good for me. I'm really excited about I think Travis does a really good job about mixing up the schedule so we don't just go to mile and a half. So I'm pretty excited about these races. They should be a lot of fun, and I think I don't know. I think I'll be pretty good at most of them.
Well, Ross, we're excited to see how you're going to perform at those racetracks as well. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours.
Thanks, guys. First and foremost, I thank Will Bustler for painting all my schemes. Bustler Racing Designs, he does an awesome job painting all my Coke and Sprite and monster schemes that he does. Everyone should go check him out. If you want a free paint scheme, just hit him up, man. He'll make them for you. I gotta thank Coke, obviously, for making it possible for me to even race it, every week with you guys. Gotta thank Freaky Fast. You guys are awesome. I mean, it's just no one even compares to you guys. You guys are by far the best broadcasting crew out there. And just got to thank all the league sponsors, Next Level Sim Racing, I don't know if Light Traffic's back, but Light Traffic Podcast, ButtKicker, all the great sponsors that Travis has brought aboard each and every season. And just everyone who watches, and of course, all my teammates, Jonathan and Will and Chris and Steven Bustler, the little Bustlers here this season too. So it's just going to be a lot of fun this season. I love racing with these guys in this league.
Well, that's going to be your third place finisher of Ross Tatum coming away and hoping for this season to continue moving forward in a good spot. Congratulations, Ross, and good luck next week at Dover.
Thanks, guys.
Well, as we go from third place, let's go to our spotlight driver. Driver that decided to get a little gutsy at moments and decided to try out a strategy call, pushing the limits on the tires, which then worked out perfectly with the timing of the yellow flag. Josh, it's Sam and Trevor up in the booth. Track position seemed to be something you were fighting for all night long. The caution strikes to allow you to have the better track position at the end of the day. But man, how are you feeling with those late restarts and almost making the tire pit stop strategy work at the end?
Oh man, I had a blast tonight, Sam. I've got mixed feelings, to be honest with you, because I feel like I had an opportunity there, but at the same time, you can't complain about a fifth place finish after starting toward the back there. So it was so hard to pass, man. I was honestly surprised that it was harder to pass than what it was. I figured if you saved your tires and kind of took your time, you'd be able to start picking some guys off late in the run. And yeah, it was pretty tough.
I mean, Josh, you and Cameron, they're on that final restart on those fresh tires coming through the field, got kind of boxed in there, I believe, on the white flag lap heading into one, and some contact made with Andrew Medlin. I mean, was there anything else you really could have done there on that last lap to maybe get a couple more positions, or were you pretty well boxed in there?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to do all I could. I think in an ideal world, if I could have got to about fifth or fourth and then maybe caught another yellow, I think that would have been the absolute best case scenario, because then I think we could have definitely gotten it from another 2-lap shootout. But yeah, really nowhere I could have gone. I mean, I'll have to go back and watch and see if there's maybe a different lane I could have chose, which I do want to apologize to Andrew Medlin, by the way. I did get in his door there, and I think he lost a couple spots there. So definitely was not intentional, just having that, fresh tires and trying to get everything I was worth. And I had a good run on them, and Will Bustler, ran his line as he's entitled to, but I didn't really have anywhere to go at that point and was just trying to kind of force something. So, all in all, I think a fifth place finish out of that, it's not a bad day.
It's not a bad day at all. And Josh, with this being your season of going full time with Full Send Racing Series, what is your confidence level after a performance like tonight heading into the rest of the regular season?
Yeah, I think one thing I need to do is just try to find a little bit more raw speed. I mean, you saw I can hang with these guys if I have the track position, but it would be nice to be up there from the get-go instead of having to do a strategy call to get there, which thankfully, even in the last couple different leads I've run, we've had a strategy call that's gone our way, and it's kind of put us in position to get good finishes here. But I know I've got speed. I just need to find a little bit more, and especially in qualifying, and try to do a better job of qualifying and starting toward the front, because I think if you can start closer to the front, it gives you more opportunities to be there without having to make such a tough strategy call.
That it certainly does. Well, Josh, congratulations once again for a fifth place finish. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. I appreciate it. First, I got to thank Travis Dart and all the admins for running this league. They've put a lot of work into it, and it's really cool to see how many guys we have out here in the field. It's a big difference in racing a full pack versus 20 different people or something like that. So makes it definitely a lot more fun when you're doing strategy calls and stuff like that. So thanks to all those guys. Thank you to Steve, who does race control. Shout out to Lights Out Racing Series, which is the league that Robert Sherwood and I run on Sundays. If anyone ever wants to come check us out, we were on the Gen 4 cars on Sunday nights. So having a lot of fun over there, as well as Senvar Solar on the car. If anyone in the Virginia area is interested in saving money on their electric bills, I know these electric bills are getting crazy right now. Hit me up. I'll talk you through solar, how it works, and how you can save a ton of money. And last but not least, shout out to my teammates at SMB Motorsports, Rob Sherwood, Jacob Grant. They had a tough night tonight, unfortunately, but thankfully I was able to have a decent run for us. So, we'll keep learning and getting better. And last thing, I want to shout out the WSSR Cup Series. Sam, looking forward to being up with you in the booth tomorrow and then calling a great race from Atlanta there.
Can't wait for it, Josh. But for tonight, congratulations on a fifth place finish and good luck next week at Dover.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
As that's going to be our 4 drivers got to talk with. Top 3 in our spotlight driver being Joshua Altus. Joshua Altus and Zach Hall both tied for the biggest movers of the race, up 24 spots for the both of them. A lot of movement went on here this evening. Major wrecks that happened late in this run that took out a lot of fast drivers that were hoping for some good days. But the end of the night, it's the rookie of Brian McCann getting the win, able to defend and hold off the fastest driver of the night of Zach Hall, and probably the second fastest driver of the night being Ross Tatum. They put down some burner lap times, but Brian McCann will get it done. This was the big wreck that struck late of drivers when they were coming across the exit of turn 2 on the white flag, just showing the destruction that everyone was dealing with. And Trevor, I got to say, that last lap, I have not seen that much destruction unless we're at a super speedway.
Yeah, I mean, typically that's what you'd see on the super speedway on the final lap, but here at Chicagoland, you saw Ryan Lynch go flipping right there. You see more cars spinning here down the back straightaway. One of the Texas speed cars involved. I think that might have been Tony Brent, Stephen Bustler, right there in the 00 spinning around. We saw Altus get into Andrew Medlin coming out of turn 4 or turn 2. And I mean, that's just hard racing. Everybody's stacked up on top of one another, trying to get everything they can. And I mean, what a great finish here tonight at Chicagoland, and I'm looking forward to getting to Dover next week with another 30-car field to see what kind of racing they're going to put on for us there.
Yeah, I mean, even coming out of turn before, the destruction didn't stop as more drivers were trying to maximize on the speed. It was Brian McCann who would come across the line down on the apron to get the win here tonight for the GRESIM Studios 200 at Chicagoland. Well, let's take a look at the unofficial results. As with all that carnage, drivers really got shifted all over the place, and Brian McCann gets the win. Zach Hall gets second. Third goes to Ross Tatum. Will Bustler fourth. Joshua Altus will finish out your top 5. Joshua Altus being the biggest mover of those that took fresh rubber, with Cameron Sarton, Travis Dart, and Jonathan Burt. Highest finisher of the Texas Speed drivers going to be that 6th machine. Ryan L. Wilson, we saw have a major slide in the first 25 laps of this race. He'll come away 9th. Ken Campbell falling all the way down to 10.
Campbell down there in 10th. Medlin, after the contact with Altus, is going to be down there in 11th. You look further on down the field, John Dart with a good run in 12th. Alex Jones, I mean, we talked about him earlier. Sam had a really good run up 17 spots. He's going to finish in 13th. Chris Stitz, your favorite for tonight after some contact he made with the outside wall, is going to come home in 14th. Trey Jones, after a good run up inside the top 10 there for a little bit, filling in again this week. For Sam Siegel, got caught up in a wreck, going to be down there in 16th. Curtis Valechik had a pretty good run for himself, up to 18th, up 10 spots from where he started. You got Sherwood, got caught up in a couple wrecks down there in 20th. And then further on down the field, I mean, Tony Brent caught up in a wreck. William Duff, we saw right there on the last lap, caught up in that wreck. Ryan Lynch, who was having such a good run, almost got stage points until the curse of the commentator caught up to him. Gets caught up in that last wreck down there in 26th. Jacob Grant, who was having a good run, caught up in an incident. Jonathan Woods, same thing. Cole Sacchetti, Doug Pierce. I mean, just all these guys down here just caught up in late race incidents. Chris Melton had the technical issues that brought out our first true caution of the night. Cedric Hunter with the start and park tonight, and Brandon Colley, unfortunately, not able to make the grid. He's going to be all the way down there in 37th.
99 Machine hopes to be back next week and racing for that of Dover. Dover next week going to be a tough task for this field, especially if we see this large of a field going into that small 1 mile concrete course. Drivers are going to be very close and narrow on these roller coaster that you can control at Dover. Can't wait for it. But for tonight, thank you so much for everyone that joined with us. You got to watch the Full Send Racing series finish out at Chicagoland, where Brian McCann was able to get himself into victory lane. But this week's not over for us here at Freaking Fast Broadcasting. We got more coverage tomorrow night. The WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series going to be having some more great coverage in the Gen 4 cars, where Joshua Altus will be joining me up in the booth. And then on Thursday night, Stars and Stripes, they take their Gen 4 cars for more racing action as well, where Zach Hall will be joining me up in the booth. So more racing coverage. And if you'd like to be notified when we are live, remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification button after you subscribe. That will notify you whenever we are live or we upload one of our video content, which would be top 5 finishes, podcasts, and more down the pipeline. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining with us. here tonight. My name is Sam Dyer. With me this evening was Trevor Earhart, Rod Moyer Jr. in the background running the productions. And for everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you so much for watching. We will see you tomorrow night. The WSSR Road to Gens Cup Series. The Gen 4s, they're ready to roar. And we will see you on our next Freaky Fast broadcast.